Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo, the mark of a fighter, and streaming on Big 12 Studios on your screen. It's a Fanatic Friday. We've got a huge Friday show. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. T-Chain's Taman Turner on the controls. Big Friday today. A lot of headlines. Baylor rocked by its athletic director stepping away. What it means for Baylor, the College Football Playoff Committee, and what comes next. Plus, a big weekend for college football, Week 12, but also college hoops heating up across the league. Statement wins last night for a couple of teams. And then we'll be joined by Pete Nakos from On 3 here in about 20 minutes on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Streaming on Big 12 Studios. Ari, good morning, sir.
You look like you got dressed out of the YMCA Lost and Found bin this morning. Good morning, James. James looks like he's a 40-year-old trying to blend in at a college party.
Story of my life.
Is that lavender? Are you wearing a jersey over a hoodie?
It is lavender. It is a jersey over a hoodie because I am a full-time fan, and I watched Kansas State dominate Cal. Got a little dicey at the end. We don't need to talk about that.
3-point domination.
3-point domination by Kansas State.
It was a domination for 20 minutes.
Did you even watch the game?
Yeah.
You watched the game?
I watched that.
Because full-time fans, they watch the game.
Well, I watched that and some NFL football.
If you watch the NFL, that would make you a full-time fraud. Because we only cover the Big 12 here on Big 12.
Yeah, but I'm a full-time fan. It's not about the sports that I cover or get, It's not just about the sports that I'm paid to watch, Not directly, but to do the show.
I got you. Full-time fan, full-time fraud, full-time fisherman. What in God's name do you have on your body today?
I'm super jacked up. I got another camp out this weekend, so got the fishing shirt on, ready to go. You know I love a good fishing shirt.
He loves a good fishing shirt. You have on a fishing shirt, jogger pants, and Air Jordan shoes. It's like you woke up, walked to your closet, hit the shuffle button, and just trusted the algorithm.
That's not entirely untrue.
Hey, Alexa, dress me.
Hey, Alexa, do better.
I love how the Jordans are red and white, too. They don't match blue. I mean, I don't know if that was...
Taman, he's going to reel in a bass at noon, drop 20 in his men's league at 2, and then hit the camp out by 4.
James is dressed like a guy that says ball is life but only plays horse.
Which is also very true, because you won't invite me to your rec league.
It's true.
Where I'd really like to ball out.
As you know, you and I are not able to hang out outside of the show.
We don't do it.
When we're together at a location, we both have to get to the airport at the same time. Boom! James is off.
I'm out of here.
Not with you. I don't want to, unless I'm being paid to talk to you, not going to do it.
7 to 10 a.m. Central Time, we're all best friends here. Okay, outside of that.
10 a.m. to 6:59 a.m. the next day? Absolutely not.
No, can't happen. All right, so Ari's fit today screams, I want comfort, I want chaos, and I want confusion, which sounds a lot like what's going on down in Waco. This was wild. Yesterday it drops that Mac Rhodes, who's done a fantastic job, not just as the AD at Baylor, but he's had a big role within the College Football Playoff Committee. He's been the chair. He's been the guy. And he has officially taken a leave of absence effective yesterday, citing personal reasons. So, because of that, he is stepping down as chairman of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. The university, Baylor, has says that there's no unspecified allegations that are under investigation. Importantly, the allegations do not involve NCAA rules or Title IX or student-athlete welfare or the football program itself. But this is the major headline from yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, most publicly, there was some video that came to life recently that showed a pretty bad exchange between Rhodes and Michael Trigg, tight end for the Baylor football team, who most likely will be off to the NFL after this season, I'd imagine. And so it's unrelated to that, apparently, but I think, just from reading the tea leaves here, James, that there's some personal issues that Mac has to deal with, and, you can kind of figure out what you think that might mean, but I hope he gets the help that he needs. But big picture, there's a few things to look at here. Number one, the last 4 athletic directors at Baylor, Mack Rhoades from 2016 to now, under investigation. Ian McCaw from 2003 to 2016 resigned amid a scandal. Tom Stanton from 1996 to 2003 resigned amid a scandal. Dick Ellis from 1993 to 1996 resigned months after 3 Baylor coaches were convicted on federal conspiracy and wire fraud charges. So it's not been a tremendous run here for the athletic directors at Baylor. Mack Rhoades was really good as an athletic director. And when you look at some of these previous scandals we're talking about here with some of these other athletic directors, anything that ends up coming to light here, I would hope, would pale in comparison to some of those other things. And there's a lot of positives that Mack Rhoades did, but ultimately he'll be remembered, I would imagine, by what will be most likely the end of his tenure at Baylor. I can't imagine this leave of absence does not lead to, Baylor finding a new athletic director. The timing here is very curious because how long does this leave of absence take? When do they hire a new athletic director? And at what point are they looking to be hiring a new football coach? Or does this buy Dave Aranda another year? Because, you got to work quickly in this day and age to try to hire the football coach you want. It seemed like all signs are pointing to Dave Aranda being out after the season. So how does this whole timeline work with Baylor?
And Mack Rhoades is the guy that hired Dave Aranda. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. There's two different columns of this whole thing. One is Baylor, and the other is the College Football Playoff Committee. Because he had a huge role in both of those positions. For Baylor, in the short term, now you have this leadership vacuum where he's absent. There's an interim team that's trying to hold the whole department together, which includes a variety of things behind the scenes, all the different sports, your strategic initiatives, your fundraising, your support for your football coach, the other sports, athletes dealing with the investigation now. And then also, I think the biggest thing is the program brand at Baylor. Baylor is a program that has had tremendous success, and they were a tremendous addition to this conference, and they've won Big 12 championships. They've won national championships in other sports outside of football, men's and women's basketball. But the history of these major athletics administration issues, it's like, when are they going to be over? Dating back to the early 2000s, you had that massive scandal in 2016 that was coinciding with all the football success that they were having. That's the only difference here is the football team is now really struggling, and you have another thing that's grabbing headlines within the athletics department. So the university, I think, is at a point where, the narrative is out there, and it's hard to rein that back in when it's just time and time again. And Mack Rhoades had a clean sheet until basically a week ago.
Yeah, and beyond a clean sheet. 2-time National Athletics Director of the Year, 24 Big 12 championships, 8 national titles, and a 2021 NCAA men's basketball championship, the first in school history. Also facility upgrades. So, on the whole, I'd
Built
say
McLean Stadium.
Right. Got the new basketball stadium.
Foster Pavilion.
$213 million Foster Pavilion, the Fudge Family Football Center. So to your point, like an extremely clean sheet that will end with calls of the past, as you said, which is an unfortunate reality for Baylor here. And then there's the college football playoff side of things, which is that Mack Rhoades has served as the College Football Playoff Committee chair. And so as he steps down to take a leave of absence from the Baylor side of things, he also does so on the committee. Brett Yormark and the Big 12 were lobbying for Mark Harlan to be added, not just to the committee, but also as the spokesperson, the chair. But the College Football Playoff went in a different direction. They elevated Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas athletic director, to that post. Now Harlan is going to be added again to the committee, which is interesting because if you remember, if your team is involved in these discussions, and Utah very much is, you have to be removed from the room.
Yep.
So the Big 12 not even getting part of the advantage that usually comes with having a member of the conference as a committee member. I mean, maybe more so with Texas Tech and BYU, but still, when Utah comes up, Mark Harlan has to leave the room as he serves as the athletic director for Utah. So sort of an interesting piece there, James.
Definitely. And I mean, I think about, I put myself in the seat of a Baylor fan or somebody that works at Baylor within athletics. And it's essentially like working an office job 9 to 5 and finding out that the company is under audit, or walking in to the office on a Monday and, hey, all of a sudden you got 2 interim managers overnight and your boss is gone and you don't know why. You don't know who to report to. You're trying to figure it out on the fly. Everybody in the office is trying to act normal, even though everybody knows that nothing is normal. That's what I imagine behind the scenes at Baylor when something like this happens. And the Michael Trigg piece is really interesting because Baylor's been very outspoken about this has nothing to do with that. So it's something else, is my point. It's something on top of that incident, which did not look good. This was on September 20th, and there was a physical altercation between the athletic director and the tight end for a football team. Apparently, he was upset about a T-shirt that Michael Trigg was wearing during warm-ups for the Arizona State game. That incident had already triggered an internal review. So there are investigations on top of investigations. And the bottom line is, typically, historically, when a member in this position of power is put on leave, they do not return. It's very, very rare that they actually come back.
Yeah, no, that's going to be the case here as well. And, I don't know that again, I don't have any special information. I'm just trying to read the tea leaves here. I think the Trigg incident is sort of a byproduct of what would most likely be the reason he's on a leave. So it's not the reason, but it's a byproduct of the reason. And, again, you can kind of take that as you will. But, I don't know that there's I don't know that the investigation now we'll see what happens. Who knows? I could be completely wrong here. But I don't know that this is a second incident so much as it is sort of a byproduct of some of these incidences that have occurred, or at least specifically that one that we know publicly.
Do you think having...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, the biggest thing here in terms of where Baylor is what Dave Aranda. And, again, I pretty much felt like Aranda was playing out the string of games here, and then he was going to be on his way out. Well, if you've got a athletic director that's on a leave of absence, technically, what does the timeline look to hire a new athletic director? And does that change your ability to hire a football coach? I mean, that's the biggest question for Baylor right now, beyond everything else, right? What's the timeline here in terms of the next athletic director, and how does that impact whether or not you're going to hire a new head football coach? Because right now, this athletic department is in a bad spot. Because, as we know, it's all about fundraising, and you can just tell by watching Baylor home football games. We'll see on Saturday what kind of attention there is for this team as they welcome Utah. And, it seems like there's a lot of apathy towards Baylor football right now from Baylor fans. I have a lot of friends that are Baylor alums, and they're very apathetic towards football. That's the last place you want to be. And we've talked a lot about this. Last year was the momentum year.
Yeah, the setup year for this year.
The setup year for this year. And they've completely laid an egg in a way that there's, do you buy another, if they won out here, would you buy another setup year? Or is it, no, this is exactly what we fell for last year. Here's, by the way, what Dave Aranda said when asked about this situation and lead up to this Utah game.
Yeah, I just think all of those questions, I understand the interest in them. Our focus is just trying to get ready to play a game. Win, we're in an instance where, similar to last year, we have to win all the rest of these games, and the focus needs to be on 1-0 today and 1-0 tomorrow and 1-0 the next day, and stack those up so that we can get a 1-0 on Saturday night, And so very much for me, the focus is that. And, I think all of these things as they play out will play out however they play out. But, we have to win this game, and we have to play our best. This is a team that's embarrassed a fair amount of teams, and we're not looking to be that next team.
They have embarrassed a fair amount of teams, and it doesn't matter if it's in Salt Lake City or if it's in Waco. That's what they plan to do. And Dave Aranda's buyout is around $12 million, roughly. There's another source at ESPN who puts the figure a little bit higher at nearly $17 million, with his contract right now running through at least 2029. So at Baylor, the buyout is massive for them, but also you've got to hire now a new athletic director, presumably in the same window as you're hiring a new football coach. And I would think, like, I look at this case and it's just one more boulder to fall for a program that appears to be on the verge of collapse. When you think about Scott Drew's men's basketball team and how he had to overhaul his entire roster, which is just very un-Baylor-like. And I'm not saying that's him or his fault, but it does lead more questions that I have about the athletics program. And then Baylor's a very attractive job. You've got a massive market in your backyard in Dallas. You have shown that you can have success in the Big 12 Conference and win Big 12 championship games. But the timing of this is just terrible for that program when you've got a football coach that is, 9-18 in your last 27 games, and their schedule next year shapes up with Auburn, SMU. Again, they play Auburn in Atlanta next year at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They play SMU at home. They have built-in road games at Arizona State, at BYU, at Houston, at Kansas, at UCF in conference play. So the schedule flips where they have 5 games on the road and 4 at home. It's almost like you just have to clean house. I don't know how you do it any other way.
Yeah, no, well said. And we're going to talk with Pete Nakos here from On3 Sports, and this wasn't the exact reason to have Pete on, but we certainly need to ask him his thoughts on the situation and where Baylor might go, especially in terms of the timing with the athletic director and head coach potential. But the last thing I'll say on this, James, is, it was also announced yesterday that Colorado Athletic Director Rick George is set to step away in July. And, Rhodes and George are cut from the same cloth from the standpoint of their longtime college administrators, and you start to see that having that experience is important, but some of the decisions that are being made across the country for hiring athletic directors, there's a different criteria for the type of person you're looking for now, as opposed to when Mack Rhodes or even Rick George were hired. You weren't looking for longtime administrators. You're looking for fundraisers now more than anything else. Yeah. And so, the times now for many of these decisions to be made at a university level to bring in guys that maybe aren't and gals that maybe aren't exactly long-time, lifer administrators in this space, but maybe bring some new life and fundraising ability to these athletic departments, because that's line one in terms of the future trajectory of all of these programs.
We'll touch on that topic. Colorado Athletics Director Rick George stepping away in July. The school announced yesterday he is the AD that hired Coach Prime at Colorado. Pete Nakos from On3 College Football Insider joins us next to break down the movement in these athletic departments. Also, the latest coaching search intel at Arkansas and Oklahoma State, and who else might have an open position at the end of the season. Pete Nakos joins us after the break. He's Ari. I'm James. This is Big 12 Radio, streaming live on your screen on Big 12 Studios. Back inside Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo. Here exclusively on TuneIn. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. We're streaming on your television screen via Big 12 Studios. He's Ari, I'm James, and we welcome in Pete Nakos, the college football insider from On3 Sports. Hey, Pete, happy Friday.
How's it going, guys?
Man, what a wild 24 hours it's been. I mean, you noted that we are 24 days from Selection Sunday, and Baylor AD Mack Rhoades is stepping down from his role, not just at Baylor, but also as the selection committee chair for the college football playoff. Just your initial thoughts, reaction, and anything you can add to that story.
Yeah, so, news started to come out yesterday that Mack Rhoades was going to take a leave of absence at Baylor. And then, you immediately start to think as a reporter, okay, what's that mean for his status as the chair of the college football playoff selection committee? And now we're 23 days out from Selection Sunday. It really puts the CFP committee in a bind. It's going to bring even more ire from fans about the selection process. So later in the day yesterday, Ross Dellinger from Yahoo reported that, new allegations have surfaced this week regarding Mack Rhoades in relation to a violation of faith-based university policies and practices. I think we'll find out more about that as time goes on. It's a tough spot for the CFP, and obviously now a lot of change at Baylor.
Pete, obviously we can only at this point speculate, but I'm just curious, as somebody that is, reporting on college football and does such a great job on college sports and reporting, I always felt like Aranda was probably coaching out his last couple of games, the head coach at Baylor. What does this do to that?
Yeah, listen, Dave Aranda was definitely starting to feel the pressure. He coached his way off the hot seat last year. They brought back Sawyer Robertson. There are a lot of high expectations about what Baylor could accomplish on the football field this year. They still are going to have some opportunities here to, win out, to cause some havoc down the stretch. But as you look at it right now, you're looking at a team that is currently, I believe they're 5-4, and they got Utah, Arizona, and Houston to finish the year. And that isn't a final slate, a very easy final slate. So the rumors had already started about what this could all mean for Dave Aranda in terms of what his future would look like. But now you're going to have an interim AD who's going to have to navigate, this final stretch of the season, making some decisions about the future of the football program, possibly.
So, Pete, with Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan taking essentially Rhoades' spot, and then Arkansas's AD Hunter Yurachek gets promoted to the new chair. Can you take us kind of behind the scenes, and have you talked to any insiders in terms of, will this impact the way the College Football Playoff Committee is ranking these teams or any of their evaluation process now?
Well, listen, there's only so much, I can have conversations all day. I don't think we're really going to know how this is going to impact the rankings until the next rankings come out on Tuesday. But clearly, when you have someone new on the selection committee, you might, the discussion might be different in the room, things like that. Does it really alter the rankings that much? I'm not sure. The interesting twist here, and I know he's not in the Big 12, but Hunter Yurachek's the Arkansas athletic director, and he's currently in the midst of a coaching search trying to find his replacement for Sam Pittman. So trying to take over the role as chair and finishing out a coaching search, that sounds like a daunting task, so I'll be interested to see how he handles that.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I've kind of felt like for any athletic director, it's a daunting task to do this. I mean, in your opinion, do you think this is the best process for deciding the 12 best teams, or do you think we should go back to a BCS computer type system?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to answer that just because I don't think my opinion matters on that, but it's definitely gonna, how the next few weeks play out will definitely cause some conversation among commissioners, I would think, in the next 12 months leading up to the next playoff.
Wow.
Talking with Pete Nakos from On3 Sports College Football Insider. Pete, want to get your take on all of the college football openings across the landscape. Can you tell us, these coaches can't get hired now. At least we haven't seen that so far. But how far along do you think some of these programs are in their coaching search, and who are some of the guys that are on everybody's hot board?
Yeah, listen, so Virginia Tech opened pretty early. They were actually the first Power 4 school to fire someone this 2025 season. Stanford had an opening that's carried over into this year. There's a lot of buzz about James Franklin. I caution everyone that is not done yet. His name's going to be tied to openings at Auburn and Arkansas and maybe some other ones. But Virginia Tech's trying to get into the final stages of their search. Past that, Auburn is really ramped up this week. They're up to like 8 or 10 conversations at this point with candidates. LSU, I'd say, is probably a little bit behind just because of everything that's played out publicly with the governor right now, trying to negotiate a buyout with Brian Kelly that's turned into a lawsuit. Popular names to know, I'd say, you got John Summerall at Tulane, North Texas's Eric Morris, and USF's Alex Golish. Those two are really popular names at Oklahoma State right now, a Big 12 opening. Memphis's Ryan Silverfield, and then you look at the top sitting Power 4 head coaches. You're looking at a lot of buzz around Lane Kiffin. What's Lane going to do? Will he stay at Ole Miss? Does he go to Florida? Missouri's Eli Drinkowitz. Like, all those guys are top names. Vanderbilt's Clark Lee. I could chop this up with you guys for about 4 hours, but who's in the mix and stuff. So I could keep going, but I'd say that's a good snapshot.
We're talking with Pete Nakos here from On3 Sports. Pete does a fantastic job of reporting on college athletics. Pete, you had a tweet that was on Rick George stepping away in July. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this was expected for a while. Rick has been, I think, pretty open and candid with a lot of folks that, he's looking to step into this advisory role and maybe take a step back from the day-to-day, but that's not really going to change what they're doing at Colorado in terms of, building out the football program around Deion Sanders, being a successful athletic department. It sounds like he'll play a key role in helping find that next athletic director, and we'll see where things go from there. But Rick George kind of trying to take a step back in the advisor role definitely wasn't a surprise to a lot of people.
Pete, how far along is Oklahoma State in their search?
Yeah, they're down to like a top 3 or 4, I'd say. I think, for all these searches that started in September and October, they would really like to make their head coach hires that Thanksgiving, Black Friday weekend, right? There's a lot of games Friday, Saturday. Guys want to be able to announce their next head coach that Saturday, Sunday. We'll see how it plays out. But I'll tell you guys, a lot of these like G6 and even the Power 4 coaches we're talking about, I mean, they're all still alive for the college football playoff. And we're going to enter this interesting stretch here where coaches are going to maybe have to make some decisions between sticking their team through this contract extension or making the decision to step away, and what are the ramifications? Do they still get to coach their CFP team and stuff like that? I know it sounds wild to think about, but those are the conversations going on behind the scenes right now, and it's really unprecedented. I was talking to someone back in the 1980s, Michigan basketball, there was a head coach there who went and interviewed at Arizona State right before the NCAA tournament tipped off, and Michigan fired him. Coach Schembechler said he wanted a Michigan man, and then the interim coach led Michigan to an NCAA title. So, snapshot of maybe some of the conversations going on behind the scenes right now about what could play off in the CFP if a coach tries to leave a team or things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, wild stuff, man. Wild times in college football. Pete Nakos from On3 Sports, College Football Insider. Pete, appreciate you hopping on with us this morning. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Enjoy the football.
Thanks,
Absolutely. Brother. Pete Nakos, College Football Insider for On3 Sports, does a fantastic job of keeping tabs on all the college football coaching vacancies, potential candidates. He has injury updates almost hourly across the college football landscape, and he is all over all these athletic directors. The movement there, Colorado AD Rick George is set to step away in July. He's the AD that hired Coach Prime at Colorado, and then the Mack Road stuff. Out as the college football playoff committee chair. He is on leave as the AD at Baylor, so really good stuff there from Pete.
Well, and I loved Pete's answer to my question about the future of the committee, because while at first he said he wasn't going to answer it and his opinion didn't matter on it, because of course he's reporting on this stuff, and so he's right to say that. The end of what he said there was really interesting, and that is, the next few months are going to be very interesting in terms of how conferences view the future of the committee. And I mean, it's sort of a carryover from last year. We know that Greg Sankey was unhappy with some of the decisions that were made at the committee level. And, if we're 1 year away from another, miss from Sankey's view, that leads to potential changes in the playoff and how these teams are picked. But at the end of the day, there's no perfect system. It's clear. Whatever the system is, people will complain about it. But I think it's obvious, they're asking very high-powered administrators that have extremely busy and demanding jobs to decide who the best teams are in college football. And they're, for the most part, regurgitating binders of information that are being, put together by these algorithms. So why not just cut out the middleman and have the algorithms decide that anyways? I know that there are a lot of complaints about the BCS and the computer systems in the BCS era, but that was only 2 teams they were selecting here. 12 teams is a different ball of wax. But we'll see how this thing plays out.
And a lot of college football programs expect to announce who their next head coach is going to be in about 2 weeks. He said the Saturday after Thanksgiving, maybe that next Monday, depending upon who's still in the college football playoff race at the G5 level or Group of 6 level. And then some really big names to look out for. And also, Oklahoma State could be one of those programs who announces their head football coach in 2 weeks when their season officially comes to an end. So we'll keep tabs on that here on Big 12 Today, on Big 12 Radio. Coming up next, here on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios, it is the one big thing, Week 12 of the Big 12 college football season. Before we dive into some basketball talk, also Scott Springer from the Cincinnati Enquirer is going to join us next hour to break down the Bearcats, who are flying under the radar but still control their own destiny in the Big 12 championship race. He's Ari, I'm James. You're listening to us, brought to you by Modelo, exclusively on TuneIn. Today here on Big 12 Radio, it is a Fanatic Friday. We look to try and bounce back in our weekly Pick'em segment. Coming up next hour, we'll be picking 5 of the 6 Big 12 games for this weekend's slate. Cincinnati, Arizona, Texas Tech, favored by 22.5 against UCF, BYU and TCU, Utah at Baylor, and Kansas State at Oklahoma State. Stormy Warren from the Big 615 will join us here on Big 12 Radio, brought to you, the mark of a fighter, the full-time fan, by Modelo. He's Ari Timken on social at Ari Sports. That's ARI Sports. I'm on social at James Westling. One big thing, Big 12 football, week 12 of the college football season. We talked yesterday about what we feel is the most important game and the most important matchup for the league, and it's splitting hairs because we don't have any top 25 against top 25 matchups, but we have a lot of scary games this weekend for those teams. So who is the most important team for the Big 12 Conference in the college football playoff and the Big 12 championship race this weekend?
Well, I think it's still Texas Tech because Texas Tech sort of sets the temperature for the conference right now. If Texas Tech is dominating, then things are good. And, I mean, on paper, there's no conceivable way that UCF could beat Texas Tech. I mean, UCF's on its 6th quarterback. We're not even sure at this point, James, if Taven Jackson was benched for Belfort in that game or if he was left because Jackson was hurt, and so who's going to play this week? And is this 5 quarterbacks for them now that will be playing if Belfort starts?
Belfort, Jackson, Cam Fancher, Ja'Cory Brown, 4.
Wow, that's pretty good off the top of your head. I think there might be a 5th, but you might be right. Either way, 4 or 5. But, I mean, kind of like going back to our friend Jeff Woody, when Oklahoma State took on Iowa State at the end of the season in, 2013, whatever year that was.
Yep.
Like, there was nothing on paper that suggested that Iowa State could win that game. So that's why you have to play the games. But yeah, I mean, and not only that, but I think Texas Tech's at a point now where they need style points. You know, they're trying to get to one of the top 4 seeds. Now, I think Texas Tech will get to one of the top 4 seeds if they win the Big 12. But I think at this point, you need style points on bad teams, and so that's why they're the most important team this week.
And I agree that it's splitting hairs, and Texas Tech certainly needs to hold their own, flex their muscles, and not just beat UCF, but beat them soundly. But I think the most important team in light of what just took place within the last 24 hours is Utah, because Utah's athletic director is in that room now in the College Football Playoff Committee, but he has to remove himself anytime Utah comes up in those conversations. And right now they're the 3rd team out of the College Football Playoff, but all the metrics, all the analytics love Utah. SP Plus has them 7th in the country, and it's because of the way they have beaten high-level opponents. You know, Dave Aranda, the comment that we had from him earlier in the program was, hey, these guys have been drubbing people. Just look at their game against Cincinnati. They won 45-14. So they are getting those style points, but they carry the 2 losses. So another loss, a 3rd loss, would be devastating for Utah. That would officially knock them out of any type of college football playoff opportunity. And so I think they are the program that absolutely has to win, but not just win, but win in a somewhat convincing fashion. I do think the committee is going to take into account that they're on the road. Baylor's a team that has a really good quarterback and a high-level running back. They have pieces. So Utah going in there and getting a win will help them. But if they go in there and they win by 2 or 3 touchdowns and just dominate the line of scrimmage, and there's this huge rushing success rate and EPA discrepancy that are stats and numbers that all the analytics pieces really like in this data-driven model, that is going to be huge for the league.
Yeah, I mean, the Utah game's pretty simple to me. Utah's biggest strength is Baylor's biggest weakness. And so, I mean, when you're a team that can get off the bus running the football and kind of dictating the terms, it doesn't matter that you know what's coming. You still can't stop it. And I'm just not sure that Baylor has the defensive line to be able to stop it because Baylor hasn't had the defensive line to stop anybody all year. Also, Baylor has not won a game against a ranked opponent at home since November 13th, 2021 when they beat Oklahoma.
Wow. They have not beat a ranked opponent at home.
Yep.
Where you're supposed to be better.
Yep. In fact, they're 6-12 at home against Power 4 schools since 2022.
that is a problem. That is why fans are leaving at halftime. That is why nobody was there for the second half of the K-State game. 6-12?
6-12 against Power 4 opponents since 2022. Shout out to Sick'em365 podcast for that note.
That's why when students were polled on should this football staff be back next season, the overwhelming result was no. The students want to change because they want to go to football games. They want to storm the field and do the Baylor line before kickoff and then watch their team win. 6-12 isn't good enough for anybody.
No.
Especially a program that expects to be in the picture every year.
Right, and not beating a ranked team at home since 2021, that's 4 years. That is inexcusable.
I don't know that any other team in the Big 12 would have a longer streak. Nobody jumps off the page at me.
And again, this is a program that expects to be competing for championships because they have.
Yeah, that's fresh off. The last time they did that, they won a Big 12 championship. All right, what is the team or who is the team that we're not talking about enough who could potentially deliver chaos this weekend in the Big 12 and why?
Okay, so chaos in the Big 12 or like just chaos to the overall big picture?
Yes, chaos. One team chaos this weekend.
Well, so I think for this weekend, the chaotic potential team is TCU. Look, Josh Hoover has thrown 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in his last 4 games, and 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions since the 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions game against Arizona State. So he's throwing a lot of touchdowns. He's throwing the ball a ton, but he's also throwing a lot of interceptions. And BYU is an extremely opportunistic defense that will turn you over. And I expect Josh Hoover to throw some interceptions in this game because that's what BYU does, and that's of late what Hoover's been doing too. But I also think like there's some high variance here. There's some high variance here coming off of a really tough loss for TCU last week where they blew the game. And, BYU hasn't picked itself up from the hangover after losing to Tech. And have they restored confidence in the offense? So, like, TCU could be the chaos in a game against Provo or in a game against BYU at Provo. But I think overall Cincinnati could be the chaotic team in the Big 12 for the big picture. Now, Cincinnati is ranked in the top 25, and maybe if they keep winning and get themselves in a position to play for a Big 12 championship, then it'll be viewed as less chaotic, but it feels like the 3 best teams in the Big 12 right now are Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah. So if Cincinnati plays for the Big 12 championship, that could throw a wrench and be very chaotic for this conference.
Yes, it could. And the team that I highlight that could create the chaos this Saturday is Arizona. Because if Arizona goes on the road and upsets Cincinnati, who could be looking ahead to BYU, in a lot of ways, it will knock them out of the Big 12 championship discussion. However, Arizona could be the team that sets off the chaos because if they beat Cincinnati, then Cincinnati beats BYU next weekend, then we have an absolute mess in terms of the Big 12 championship race, number one, also the college football playoff, how many teams get in from the Big 12 picture. Now, there are things that concern me about Arizona having a chance in this game. They allow pressures and they allow more sacks than most teams in this league. Noah Fafita is getting sacked almost 3 times per game. But Arizona's been really good in their passing defense. And if Evan Pryor doesn't play in this game for Cincinnati and Arizona can limit that ground game for the Bearcats, it could be really interesting in Cincy. Arizona's also a team that I feel like the way they beat Kansas, a lot of times when you have this big emotional win like that, it can carry you the rest of the season. And they're quietly 6-3. So they look at this game as, hey, this is a house money game. We have nothing to lose. But if we go on the road and win this game, all of a sudden we're 7-3, and we're in the conversation for an Alamo Bowl bid or one of the better bowl games in the Big 12, and then a ton of momentum for that program that'll have Noah Fafita back next year because he still has a year of eligibility.
Do you know how many sacks Cincinnati has given up this year? You know how many times Brandon Sorsby's been sacked this year?
Cincinnati doesn't give up any sacks.
You want to take a guess at the total?
I'm going to guess it's less than 5.
2.
That's amazing.
And their sack differential is plus 15. So they've sacked the quarterback 17 times, and they've only been sacked twice. Arizona, as you just brought up, is minus 7 in the sack differential. They've sacked the quarterback 17 times, same as Cincinnati, but they've been sacked 24 times. Cincinnati, 2 is ridiculous. Yesterday we talked about Utah winning the Joe Moore Award, and I probably should have brought up Cincinnati in that conversation too, because Cincinnati's offensive line is that good with the sack avoidance and then, with their running game. I mean, I think in that game in particular, I think you're right to point that out in terms of this could be a major chaos game, and Arizona could be an agent of chaos here. The two areas of concern for me, if I'm Cincinnati, would be Arizona's turnover rate. They're +8 in the turnover differential, and they've got really good quarterback play in the red zone. Fafita's been great. I think these are our two guys at quarterback that we mentioned yesterday as the offensive MVP of the Big 12, and Fafita and Brennan Sorsby. And I think there's opportunities at the back end of the defense for Fafita to take advantage. That's where I'm a little bit concerned if I'm Cincinnati is, if I'm giving up a ton of yardage to an offense that's proven it could throw yardage on the board, and they're finishing in the red zone, which they have they're 58% touchdown percentage in the red zone, Arizona is, and 88% overall scoring. So they finish drives off with points. That's the one area. But I'll say this. Arizona's probably top defensive tackle, Savea, is out. And, I mean, that's a huge part to their rush defense. So against a Cincinnati offense that can run the ball effectively, I think not having Savea in this game could be huge. I think Cincinnati wins, but as we'll see later in this game, or later on the show, not sure it's going to be close. I think it'll be close.
Arizona 6-0 this year when they hold teams below 20 points. It's also a really early kickoff for them, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, but
right.
This is the fourth game that they've traveled east for. They're 1-2 in the other three. Let's hear from both coaches. Cincinnati coach Scott Satterfield, he's still talking big picture, talking goals for this team.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly talked about it last week. After the Utah game, I pulled up all our goals that we had from camp, and they're still intact. For us, we're still competing for a Big 12 championship. That's what it's all about. You're sitting here in the middle of November. If you asked me in the first of the year, "Is this what you want?" Absolutely, this is what we want, to be playing for a championship in the middle of November. So it's a huge game, a huge opportunity for our guys, one that our guys need to take full advantage of.
Goal is to make it to Arlington for the Big 12 championship game. It's still intact. They do control their own destiny. On the flip side, Brent Brennan, the head coach at Arizona, very high praise for this Cincinnati team.
This is what we think is the best football team we've played this year. They've done an outstanding job of adding to their roster, building a roster and then adding good players in the portal from it. The quarterback is the best quarterback we've seen so far. He's a really, really clean passer, and he's extremely athletic. They've got this is the best team, the most team speed I think we've seen. And so just an incredible challenge for us in all three phases, going on the road, playing very, very good, and a first-ranked, first-place team in our conference. So we got a lot of work to do. The players are really, really excited about, getting back in the facility and getting back to work and putting together a plan to go play good football in Cincinnati this weekend.
Brent Brennan saying this is the best team we've faced all season, and they have played BYU, they've played Houston, they've played Iowa State, and he says Cincinnati's the best of the bunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree, right? Hey, who else?
They played BYU. That was a close game that Arizona felt that they let slip away.
Yeah, and maybe he's looking at it specific to the quarterback position and what the quarterback can do for Cincinnati versus BYU, and that's not a knock on Bear Bachmeier. I just think Bachmeier's not being asked to do as much as Sorsby is, which makes sense. He's a true freshman, and Sorsby is an experienced veteran quarterback. So maybe he's just specifically looking at it from that regard.
One big thing, Week 12 of the Big 12 college football season. The Big 12 coach under the most pressure this weekend is who?
Repeat that question.
The Big 12 coach under the most pressure this weekend is who?
I think it's Scott Satterfield.
Okay.
Because
more so than Aranda.
Yeah, I think Aranda's out. I don't know that there's any pressure. I don't know that there's any pressure. So I just think he's out. I think with Satterfield, they're entering a different echelon now. They went from you got to make a bowl game at least and maybe expectations for Cincinnati this year were to compete for a Big 12 championship, to now you're competing for a Big 12 championship and a college football playoff. And so, I mean, this is gut check time, and this is a very difficult stretch for Cincinnati because you've got a bowl eligible and pretty good Arizona team, followed by BYU. So, yeah, I would say undoubtedly it's Scott Satterfield.
I think there's a lot of coaches in this league that are under a tremendous amount of pressure, which is par for the course for this time of year. But my dark horse under major pressure if they lose this game candidate is Chris Kleiman at Kansas State. They have an early morning kickoff on ESPNU. It starts at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. local time, Central. K-State plays at Oklahoma State. A game and an opponent that you expect Kansas State to beat. But if they don't...
Have you watched Oklahoma State this year, James? Don't be ridiculous.
Crazy things happen this time of year, mid-November.
No.
If they did lose this game, they play at Utah next weekend. Kansas State's not making a bowl this season if they drop this one. They're going to finish 5-7 at best. They wrap up with Colorado at home. If they dropped this one, would Chris Kleiman's seat get warm?
Yeah, I mean, he should be fired on the spot if they lose this game. Are you serious?
Oklahoma State's that bad.
Yes. Have you watched them?
The line, by the way, is 20.5.
Yeah, and that's an easy cover.
Easy cover, he says.
Have you watched them?
Yes, I've called their games. Yes, I've seen Oklahoma State.
Thank you.
They got beat, but they covered at KU. Okay, they covered. Still lost the game, but they covered.
Did they?
Yeah, they covered. Lost by 17. Didn't cover at Tech. Should have covered against Cincinnati. Oklahoma State hasn't scored more than 21 points since week 4.
They are 0-6, and if you go back to the Big 12 championship game that they lost to Texas in 2023, they've now lost 16 straight Big 12 games. 16 straight Big 12 losses for Oklahoma State going back to the 2023 Big 12 championship. If you would have told me when Oklahoma State lost to Texas in the 2023 Big 12 championship game that they would go on to lose 15 straight more after that, I would not have believed you in a million years. It is insane to think about that.
Pretty sure they have the worst Power 4 record in the last 2 seasons against FBS.
And you just selected Chris Kleiman as your most under the radar.
Yeah, he has to win this game. He has to win this game.
Talk about a low bar.
He has to win this game.
Talk about a low bar. How far has it fallen for you K-Staters?
Coming up next on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. Taman on the controls. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. We are on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios visually. And coming up next, we recap a huge night in the Big 12 basketball on the hardwood. The Cats are back. We'll preview some of the games for this weekend. Which of these Big 12 teams actually tells us something this weekend? It's so early in the season. That is around the corner here on Big 12 Radio.
Fafita rolls, fires on the run. What a throw and catch!
Back inside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. We're about 20 minutes away from Scott Springer from the Cincinnati Enquirer to preview Cincinnati and Arizona. Shed some light on the Cincinnati football season. They still have just one loss in Big 12 play and are in a position to control their own destiny and make it to Arlington to play in the Big 12 championship game on a Fanatic Fireworks Friday. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. If you miss any of our guests, we talked with Pete Nakos, college football insider from On3 Sports in hour number 1. You can catch those wherever you get your pods, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, right here, tune in on demand. Our games of the week this weekend brought to you by Modelo. Oklahoma State hosting Kansas State at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, and then Utah at Baylor at 6 p.m. Central, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Here on Big 12 Radio, you're watching us on Big 12 Studios. Let's talk a little Big 12 basketball, the first real test for Big 12 basketball teams this weekend. And last night, the backyard brawling turned into a backyard mauling by West Virginia. Jeff Capel is still at Pitt, by the way. He's made the NCAA tournament one time. This is his 8th season there. He followed Kevin Stallings after he got canned back in 2018. But Pitt was supposed to be better this year, and West Virginia drubbed them last night in the backyard brawl. Pitt actually led 21-14 with about 8 minutes to go in the first half. Then West Virginia ripped off a 20-4 run. They never looked back. 71-49 the final. A massive win for Ross Hodge in year one at West Virginia.
Yeah, Harlan Obioha led West Virginia with 19 points, 8 of 9 shooting. He was a beast inside for West Virginia. He's going to be a problem. Hunter Huff added 15. Jasper Floyd with 13, 7 assists. And, as you mentioned, West Virginia completely flipped the game with a 20-4 run that went from late in the first half into the break, was up 34-25 at halftime, and never looked back. A dominant performance by Ross Hodge's club in the 192nd version of the backyard brawl. 192 backyard balls in basketball.
Yeah, they've played a lot. And it means a lot for both programs, which it's really cool that you get a marquee rivalry game of this magnitude this early in the year, especially for West Virginia fans. And I think it's big for Ross Hodge to acquire belief that West Virginia can be competitive this season, especially in their own backyard. It was 50-40. Pitt got it to within 10, and then West Virginia responded with another 13-0 run and held Pitt scoreless for almost 6 minutes. Like, that is the Ross Hodge way. That's what his North Texas teams did. They just suffocate you defensively. So you know West Virginia is going to be strong on that end of the floor. But also Jasper Floyd had 13 points, 7 assists. You have really good defense. Ross Hodge knows how to recruit point guards. Floyd came with him, I believe, from North Texas. One of those two guards did. I think it was Floyd. And
I think actually 2 did.
Yeah, he had 2 players come with him from North Texas.
Floyd's definitely one of them. You want to talk about your game? Did you watch at the Sigma Chi house wearing that? James is dressed like a 40-year-old trying to fit in at a Sigma Chi house, only to be called the house dad.
Well, we did keg stands at halftime, so it was pretty exciting. K-State moves to 3-0. Kansas State is the best three-point shooting team in the nation. Are you aware of that?
I mean, they shot 64% from 3.
The best three-point shooting team in the country.
They're 9 of 18 from 3 last night and 64% from the floor overall. So they're offensive. They're an offensive machine, James. We'll see if they can play defense. But, yeah, they're an offensive machine.
And the final score is very misleading. K-State won the game 99-96. K-State's 3-0. 50% from 3, as he alluded to. Now, they did give up some three-point shooting in the second half. Cal got hot. Cal actually shot 15 of 28 from beyond the arc in the second half, or for the game, I should say. But, I mean, K-State was up 21 at halftime. And the thing that stood out to me is K-State had multiple extended scoring runs. They went on a 13-0 run early in the first half. Then they went on a big run right before the half. And then the lead jumped to 21 again after a David Castillo three-pointer in the second half. It was a 10-point game with like a minute to go before Cal hit some garbage threes. But Kansas State looks faster. They look more athletic on the perimeter this year than maybe Jerome Tang has ever had at K-State. You know, that Elite Eight team was Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson and Aquan Tomlin and kind of the big three. This K-State team, I think, resembles more of that team in terms of just how electrifying they are in the backcourt. And then they got the big guy, McGriff, had a pretty good game down low. He's more athletic than I thought he would be, a transfer from UNC Wilmington. So there's a lot to like about the Cats, Emaw.
Yeah, and 43 for their backcourt, Haggerty and Nate Johnson. Haggerty with 23 and Johnson with 20.
What do you like about Nate Johnson?
Well, I mean, he's just so versatile, multifaceted. He had a play in this game where he kind of came over on a double team, and the player dribbled the ball, didn't see it, and he stole the ball and went right down for a dunk. Like, I don't know that K-State's going to be an elite defense, but Nate Johnson just does a little bit of everything. He can rebound the ball well from his position. He guards well. Just a smart move by him in that moment to come over and steal the ball, and so yeah, I like his game a lot.
He also has some sick dreads. And I'm pretty sure last night Nate Johnson had more dunks in the Cal game alone than K-State as a team had all of last season. It's like we have not seen this in ages.
I've never seen you more excited about anything in my life.
Have you ever seen me more excited about a 3-point win over a team that didn't make the NCAA tournament and is preseason picked to be in the bottom half of the
I have
ACC?
never seen
The answer is no.
I've never seen you more excited about K-State basketball right now. You are more excited about K-State basketball than I've ever seen you about anything in life. Literally anything.
Anything.
Anything I've seen. I've seen you have a lot of happiness in your life, but nothing that's made you this excited. I'm happy for you.
Brings me joy like rocking a lavender K-State basketball jersey and believing the Cats are back.
It's obvious, I think, after 3 games that Kansas State is the far superior team in the state of Kansas in basketball.
Oh, totally. Definitely that. The Cats are so back.
They're basically the best. They've won the state championship, K-State.
I mean,
we don't need to see any more basketball at this point.
Darren who? That's what I say. Peterson, Schmiederson. All right, there's some big games in the Big 12 this weekend. Which of these Big 12 games will actually tell us something this weekend? I've seen all I need to see about Arizona. They play at UCLA in Inglewood. UCLA's number 15. This is the Hall of Fame series. Arizona's number 5. So even though it's in LA, it's not a true home game for UCLA. It's a neutral game. Arizona State hosts Gonzaga. These games are actually played tonight across the Big 12 landscape. TCU hosts number 6 Michigan, and UCF has a Power 4 matchup at Texas A&M, and then Providence is at Colorado. So it's a loaded Friday night slate.
And I mean it is, but my eyes go towards Saturday and Sunday games. We get UConn BYU on Saturday, and this in the heels of some news that came out this morning that a BYU basketball player was arrested for suspicion of DUI. So that game is in Boston as part of the Hall of Fame series, UConn BYU. So basically a home game for UConn, BYU with the long travel there. We'll see. Hopefully BYU has some good fans, but that'll be a really good early season game. And then last year, Auburn beat Houston as a part of that non-conference stretch where Houston struggled. Well, they get Auburn again now at 3-0, 22nd ranked in the Battleground 2K25, Legacy Arena in Birmingham, Alabama. So kind of another home game, if you will, for Auburn at a neutral site, but should be a fun one as well on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon.
So I look at the 2 games where I think we actually learned something about these teams, and for me it's BYU, UConn, and Houston, Auburn. And I bypass UCLA, Arizona because I've seen all I need to see, knowing Arizona is going to be very good this season. Even if they lose this game, it's not going to raise any alarm bells by any means. We know how good that team is. BYU is really interesting because they play the number 3 ranked team in the country. This is at TD Garden in Boston, home of the Celtics, part of that Hall of Fame series. So just a really cool NBA environment where there will be a billion NBA scouts at this game to watch A.J. DeBonsa and all the star power. But you touched on Kennard Davis, who's probably done for the year. He was averaging 9 points per game the first 2 games of the year for BYU. He'd hit multiple threes in both games. He was expected to be a big piece for them. And he was a transfer from Southern Illinois where he scored almost 17 points per game last season. Like, he was probably, outside of the freshmen, their most highly touted transfer prospect. 6'6", really long and athletic, really does a lot defensively for the Cougars. So their first game without him tomorrow against the number 3 team in the country, I think we learned a lot there.
And obviously, as we know, at BYU, there's the players are subject to the honor code. So DUI is a part of it. Obviously, that's not good. But drinking is also not allowed. So to your point, I think Kennard Davis is out at BYU, most likely, and as you said, we'll see what this does overall to this team. But yeah, this will be very much a home court advantage for UConn playing at TD Garden, as our producer Taman Turner, who grew up in the Hartford area, could tell us. A lot of UConn fans in Boston.
Yeah, not far at all. It's about an hour and a half drive from stores. Fans go up there all the time.
Plus, I'm sure there's a lot of UConn alums in the Boston area.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people who grew up in Connecticut either go to Boston or New York. So the fact that the game's in Boston, UConn has a Connecticut little Massachusetts rivalry there. It'll be a home game for UConn. No different than Gamble Pavilion or the XL.
And same with Auburn, Houston playing in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
There's two games that are quote-unquote neutral site games. And I think that's sort of interesting, too, when you think about the quad 1, quad 2 part of it. Now, look, both of those games will be quad 1 games, but still, it's kind of skewed because it's technically neutral site, but those aren't neutral sites. Playing Auburn in Birmingham or UConn in Boston.
If it's less than a 2-hour drive, then it's a home game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that annoys me too. They'll definitely be quad 1 games. Like neutral games are any games between a team ranked number 1 through number 50. But it is home games. Yeah. And I think the Houston-Auburn series, I think they played at the Toyota Center in Houston last year.
Got it.
So it was kind of a...
More home and home?
Yeah. But in Auburn's opener, they beat Bethune, just Bethune. They've dropped Cookman.
Oh.
Yeah, big deal. They beat Bethune 95-90. That was a 5-point win.
Did Bethune and Cookman have a falling out? What happened?
Not sure the details of that. Oh, they do still recognize Cookman. Cookman is still part of the Bethune family, but they've just been downgraded to the kiddie table. So, anyways, they beat Bethune 95-90.
I don't know where you're getting that. It still says Bethune.
I don't know.
Cookman.
They beat Bethune-Cookman. Okay, they beat them by 5. They lost to Oklahoma State in an exhibition game. My point is, Houston should handle Auburn. But Houston, early on in the year, even the teams like last year's team that made the national championship game had 3 non-conference losses, including one to San Diego State. The year before that, they had some shaky non-conference losses. Like, it takes Kelvin Sampson's team a while to hit their stride. And early in the year, they can be a little bit of a mess. And he's going to play the guys that are playing the hardest, even if it's not his best players. So that one is intriguing to me as well this weekend.
Well, and I think also you mentioned, who are we going to learn a lot about? And look, we're 3 games in. We're not going to learn anything about anybody. But right. I think the Gonzaga-Arizona State game tonight is an intriguing one from the standpoint of Arizona's off to a 2-0 start. You expect 3-0 Gonzaga to go down and beat Arizona State, but we'll see what happens. Like, that could be a very good measuring stick and a really good early season win for Arizona State if they can get it at home.
Well, remember, Arizona State almost beat Gonzaga last year.
Yeah.
Early in the year. They played about this same time. And it was a close game that came down to the last couple of possessions. And I'm intrigued by Arizona State's big guy, Mor Masamba Diop, the big 7'1" guard. He runs like a guard. He plays like a guard. But he's a rim protector. He's a scorer. He is crazy athletic. Where did they find this guy? Because I don't think he was like a 5-star recruit or anything. And he's 7'1", 230. And he is Mo Bamba-esque in terms of his athleticism.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's fun to watch. Look, Arizona State's got some talent. I mean, Bobby Hurley, he might be on the hot seat this year in terms of, if you don't make the tournament, is he out? Or at least have some momentum heading into next season, I think, because this is such a young team with a roster that's been turned over. But he's got talent. There's no doubt about it, and I think Diop is one of those. Is it Diop or Diop?
Could be Diop, could be Diop, could be Diop.
Stay tuned for next week when we find out how to pronounce one of these players' names.
By the way, he was a 3-star recruit. 3-star recruit. Committed back in June. That's our Big 12 basketball breakdown. Scott Springer talking Cincinnati Bearcats from the Cincinnati Enquirer joins us next. He's Ariam James. This is Big 12 Radio powered by Modelo here on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios. Back here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn, your official station for the Big 12. You're watching us on the Big 12 Fast Channel, Big 12 Studios. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. With Ari Timken, I'm James Westling. Super excited to lean Cincinnati here with Scott Springer from the Cincinnati Enquirer. Hey, Scott, good morning.
Hey, what's up? I wore my Big 12 hat for you guys because it's all about the swag, and you give a guy decent headgear and he's happy.
Yes, yes. Hat season. We love it. Man, this is kind of an underrated game on Saturday because Arizona's won 2 in a row. We know how good Cincinnati is, trying to bounce back from that Utah game. Just what's your take on what the keys are in the path for the Bearcats?
Well, it's certainly a must game, and the upside for Cincinnati is where against Utah they're playing at 10:15 Eastern their time, 8:15 Central. This is a game where it's noon here, and Arizona, it'll be 10 a.m. on their clock. So sometimes it doesn't work out so well, and Scott Satterfield even said he kind of wished that there would be some meeting in the middle when you had teams, going across time zones where maybe they just play at 3:30 or 4 or something like that. But we all know it's all about TV, and TV is going to do what they want to do, and that's the way it is. And you really should be happy you're on at any time. So, but last year UC played Arizona State, and that was one of their big wins. And they beat them 24-14. But the same deal, the Sun Devils had to come here, and it was like playing a morning game for them. And it was 24-14. And yeah, Levitt didn't play, but we found out that Sims kid is not half bad. So that was a decent win. Unfortunately, that put Cincinnati at 5-2, and they lost the next 5. So here they are with 7 wins, 3 key games to go to get somewhere. And you don't really want to, honk off the fan base by dropping the next 3, although the next 3 are very difficult.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, I think, it's so interesting with Satterfield. I think at this point he's firmly off the hot seat, obviously, but because it felt like expectations going into the season where he needed to at least get to a bowl game and maybe compete for a Big 12 championship. Like, where do you think expectations are now for him and his team?
Well, I had them at 7 wins. They're at 7. I think they're at the point where they're not satisfied with that. Their goals have been all along Dallas, because if you walk into the new Shakely Performance Center, it's right there on everywhere you can see the goals for each week. And the fourth goal was always Dallas. Technically Arlington, as you guys know. But, that's something they've had their eye on. To get there, though, in my mind, I think they have to win out, because I don't know that you're going to get some help in this league, and I don't know that BYU's going to lose again, so you're going to have to try to take them down. I don't see Baylor beating Utah, and this week I don't see TCU beating BYU, although it could happen. Those are decent teams, and that would throw a monkey wrench into a little bit of everything there. But to me, Cincinnati, you just take care of business, one game at a time, coach speak there. But if you can do that, if you get 3 wins, then you're in and you have a chance. Now they're 25 in the college football playoff thing. So are they a legitimate shot? Who knows? But who thought Arizona State was? And Arizona State, they went from ranked dead last in the media poll. So it shows you what we know. I don't recall putting them last, but yeah, last year they make a big splash and they have Texas on the ropes there late. So it's late year football and anything can happen, and the tough team wins typically.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has built quite the resume, certainly on offense. I mean, Cincinnati is 5th in the nation in yards per play, over 7 yards per play. They've got one of the most balanced offenses in the country. They're 3rd in the nation in yards per rush. They're 10th in passing efficiency. Yet it feels like when we think about all the great offenses in the league and in the country, Cincinnati doesn't enter the conversation. Why do you think that is, and how would you best describe what they've done offensively?
It's not necessarily flashy, and they've always been kind of balanced, but it's more predicated on the run. They like to run the quarterback, although Sorsby didn't run as much as I thought he may have or should have against Utah. But, yeah, it's solid running game, and then they try to, pick their spots and hit you deep. Right now they have 2 decent receivers that are questionable. Now, I don't know if that's gamesmanship or legit on the injury report, but Caleb Goody is the burner, that he's questionable right now. And then they put Isaiah Johnson, who's more of a possession guy, but very good with the ball in his hands. He's also questionable. I would guess come Saturday those guys are going to play. I don't know anything. I'm just knowing the way the injury reports go. Jeff Caldwell, big 6'5" receiver that can go get the ball and make some circus catches. And the guy they really need to get the ball to, in my mind, is Joe Royer, the tight end. This is an NFL tight end that caught 50 balls last year that broke Travis Kelce's tight end record at Cincinnati. And this year he's been held to 23. So why is that? Well, the defense now knows who Joe Royer is. And then they've got some better receivers to spread the ball to. So it's a number of things, but they are diversified and they can do a lot of things. Now, Sorsby cannot go 11 for 33 like he did against Utah because that's just not going to work.
Yeah. So the one thing, though, about Sorsby is the 2 sacks, which is just a ridiculous number. To what do you attribute that to?
Offensive line is really, a lot of people didn't know who Joe Moore was until last year, as some of the guys started talking about the Joe Moore Award and everything. And obviously, that didn't work out. I didn't know who Joe Moore was. I knew Dinty Moore made some form of a stew. There's a lot of Moore, but Joe Moore, obviously, it's a big deal. And Gavin Gerhardt, the center, has been there for a good long time. They have some veterans. And those guys have really come together. And Gerhardt's a great leader. I mean, if this guy doesn't make it in the pros, he's somebody that should be hired as a coach. He's like a drill sergeant. They picked up Tarantayo, a guy from Ball State that has some crazy numbers in the weight room. And, Tengasdal is there. They've just had the offensive line. Joe Cotton was a big acquisition from South Dakota. They picked him up, and a lot of schools were after him. So, offensive line actually better than last year. And last year, they still had 2 guys one guy get drafted by the Packers and 2 guys had free agent looks in the NFL. So last year's line wasn't bad. This one is better.
We're talking with Scott Springer, who covers all things Cincinnati, the Cincinnati beat writer for the Cincinnati Enquirer. And, going back to week 1 against Nebraska, it was pretty clear that Sorsby had a rough game, and he wasn't on the same page with his receivers, and he was pressured, and there were just a lot of things. But this late in the season, why would you say he struggled with those 11 of 33 numbers against a really good Utah defense?
Well, first off, that's an absolute trap going in there at late at night. Utah is a very, very tough place to play, and everyone talks about the muss and the student section there, but it's all the fans. I mean, they're all lighting up their phones, and they're all into it, and so if you were a burglar, maybe that's a good night to go out when Utah plays. But goodness, everybody was there. It was pretty crazy. It wasn't as crazy as Arrowhead, though. I'll say that. Arrowhead was about the loudest place I've seen. So those are the 2 crowds that have been the craziest. And so I don't know how much of an effect that had. I know they had to use some silent counts and things like that. But Utah got a hand in front of a lot of short, quick passes that Cincinnati normally makes. So that's part of it. And then I guess every now and then you're just going to have a bad game. He's had some spectacular games, but that was not one of them. Still had 2 touchdown, passes. And, the one that he made to Cyrus Allen, who by the way, Cyrus Allen is the number 2 receiver in the nation in touchdown catches as much as Cincinnati runs the ball. But, even that puts them at 24-14 reachable, and the game just got out of hand. And they had turnovers. Sorsby had 2 fumbles. He threw his second pick of the year, the first one coming at Nebraska on the last play. And if that goes for a touchdown, Cincinnati would have came into the Utah game undefeated. I think either way, Utah was going to win. They just had all the momentum. They had game day, the time zone thing in their favor, and they're very good. So I think he's due for a bounce back. He's a very confident guy. He doesn't let too much bother him. He always comes and answers the bell in the press conferences. And he never really makes excuses. He puts everything on his shoulders and goes. So I would expect a bounce back.
Have you been surprised by this defense, Scott?
A little. It's I am far from a defensive authority. The 3-3-5. I know most of the standard defensive guys you talk to around town here. They go, I don't know why they don't put 4 on the line and all that. But this is kind of what Iowa State has played. This defense did work against Iowa State. It did work against Baylor. They kind of shut down Sawyer Robertson pretty good, and he's a heck of a quarterback. So we'll see what it does. It seems to me it's a little susceptible to scrambling quarterbacks. I know Fafita can move with his legs a bit, doesn't necessarily run by design as much. That could be a factor in this, but Yeah, when healthy, when they're all good, and Dante Corleone, as good as he is, has not really been healthy all year
Right,
long.
right.
But he gets into the backfield. Even he's typically double teamed. You look at his numbers, and you're thinking, well, why does anyone care about this guy? But he does. He is a factor in the game because he's occupying other guys. And then Jake Golday's a heck of a linebacker that's going to get drafted. And the secondary has played better. Now the odd thing is Cincinnati's only had 2 interceptions. They really haven't sacked the quarterback a lot, but overall, outside of Utah, you'd have to say they've been effective.
Scott, you noted that the Cincinnati AD, John Cunningham, filled in for Coach Satterfield on his weekly radio show this week. I know it was a few days ago, but
Yeah.
anything from there that really stood out to you? That's pretty cool that the AD was the guy that filled in.
I guess Wednesday's a big work day for the guys, so that's why they did that. They had him, and then they had Zach Grant, their personnel guy. So interesting show if you're a diehard Cincinnati fan and listen to it, because I mean, heck, I've said this to a lot of people that the Bearcats have more personnel people than the Cincinnati Bengals do. If you know anything about how the Cincinnati Bengals operate,
Yeah, right.
it's kind of humorous. But yeah, Cunningham, he just was. I cannot begin to tell you what's going on in college football with money and rev share and all that stuff. But one of the things that he says that makes sense is every sport has a salary cap, and you need to get some guardrails on this and some form of sense, because it just can't be, Bob, strikes it rich and just throws everything into a team. And even though that's kind of the way the world works sometimes, but there has to be something there to keep it. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but at some point, donors are going to run out of money. Everybody wants money. People that support their teams, it's like you can't just sign over your 401k to your college football team. You might have kids or something like that. So the money has to get in order. These kids are still doing great. I mean, they're doing better than they would be if they left early. So you're not seeing that. But on the other hand, you can't have great disparities. And to me, it's not a lot of fun if somebody can just buy a team every year and win.
As we wrap up here, Scott, for our viewing audience, you have a hall of hats behind you. That is a catalog of hats.
Those are old. I have more upstairs. I have so many hats. I don't get to wear all of them, but I'm a big minor league baseball fan. So when I go to a game, I typically buy a hat. A lot of these are old ones that I don't like the way they fit necessarily. But, so I'm kind of picky about my hats. I'll go in. So almost like they should have a hat fitting room, where I can go in and take a bunch of them. But yeah, when you're follically challenged like me, you got to be into hats.
You're crushing it in the hat game, and you've got the Big 12 hat on. We love it, man. Thanks for your time. That was good stuff.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Scott Springer, longtime media vet. He is the Cincinnati Bearcats beat reporter for the Cincinnati Enquirer, and we appreciate his time this morning. Cincinnati.com, where you can read his stuff. And he joins us here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Massive game for Cincinnati football this weekend against Arizona. We'll be picking 5 of the 6 Big 12 games coming up next here on Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios, brought to you the full-time fan by our good friends, our pals at Modelo. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, exclusively on TuneIn. He is Ari Timken. I'm James Westling, and we are picking all the games this weekend. Well, 5 of the games in the Big 12 during our weekly Pick'em segment. Coming up in about 20 minutes, Joey McGuire will join us, the Texas Tech football coach. We caught up with him earlier this week, and then we go in the trenches with Douzable, who will join us. He's on the call next weekend of UCF and Oklahoma State. He's going to be with us here on Big 12 today. Ari he's got a big day. Not sure if it's in the yoga studio or on the lake, one or the other, but it's going to be huge.
That's a miss from ChatGPT. Yoga studio?
You're wearing joggers.
Oh, these are, pants. Let's be honest here. My joggers are in a different category than your joggers.
Okay. There's different categories of joggers.
Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense.
You probably have like 2 or 3 different categories. You've got like the nice joggers, that's what I put these in.
Those are the nice joggers, okay?
Those are sweatpants.
Sloppy joggers. Start calling you GQ, this guy.
I don't know why you haven't already. I'll be honest with you. I've been waiting for you to call me that for a long time.
My daughter was texting me during the commercial break. She had a middle school basketball game last night. She jammed a finger.
Ooh.
And let me tell you that nothing sends a 13-year-old girl into retirement faster than a jammed finger.
Did you see a picture of it?
It was trying, we don't get great service here in this building. She was trying to send me a picture.
Got it. No, it was probably blown up.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
gnarly.
Playing basketball with my boys, because jamming fingers is very common in basketball. You grab the basketball the wrong way, and
it's the worst too.
Yeah, and it's just funny to watch them like react to having a jam finger. It's like, by the way, that's gonna happen a lot more if you're gonna keep playing. Like you're gonna jam a lot of fingers. It's gonna happen.
Kids and myself react the same way from a jammed finger as we would being bit by a great white shark. It's all bad. It's all bad. All right, let's pick some games. Taman, what are we picking first?
All right, first game, guys. Cincinnati -6.5 versus Arizona.
Cincinnati and Arizona, and we have Stormy picking
What's
games
going
with
on?
us.
Ari and James, I missed you guys at Stormy. What's going on, Ari and James? I missed you guys at Stormy from the Big 615. And last week I was on a cruise, and then I went off to Maui, Hawaii. I know, rough life. But I'm back with my picks this week. Not been a stellar year for my picks, but I'm going to redeem myself this week. Cincinnati versus Arizona, Bearcats, Wildcats, going Bearcats. They will cover 6.5 points. Arizona has shown me very little to get excited about. Not bad, just Cincinnati really hasn't shown me what I thought they were capable of, but I think they take it, given the spread.
Cincinnati.
Okay. I also like, thank you, Stormy. We know how much you missed us while you were surfing in Maui. Am I picking first or you?
Go ahead.
Okay. I like Arizona. I like Arizona in this game. I think Arizona's won 2 in a row, 52-17 a couple of weeks ago at Colorado when they just dominated. Noah Fafita is playing with house money right now. He's been incredible. Arizona's already bowl eligible. I think they understand that this is a game where they can really make a statement and get a statement win. Their win over Kansas, late game heroics, I think that momentum can carry over. And I like their passing defense. I mean, they're still top 10 in the country in passing defense. And without Evan Pryor, I think that makes Cincinnati vulnerable to be becoming more one-dimensional, where they've been very balanced offensively. So I think Arizona keeps it relatively close and covers the 6.5 on the road as a dog.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll take Arizona plus 6.5. I just think Arizona can put up yardage against this defense. They finished in the red zone, 58% touchdown rate and an 84% scoring rate. And one team is a little bit more efficient. That's Cincinnati, a little bit more rested. So I think Cincinnati wins this outright, but I think it'll be closer than 6.5 points. Give me Arizona plus 6.5.
All right, next game, Texas Tech -22.5 versus UCF. Stormy, take it away.
All right, you know how I feel about this one. Texas Tech versus UCF. Not only early in the season did I predict that Texas Tech was going to win the Big 12, I think they're going to go deep into the playoffs and possibly win the whole thing. They're that good of a team, and they cover 22.5 points without a blink. They got it.
Without a blink. Don't blink, says Stormy Warren. Texas Tech and UCF. Yeah, this is a really big line, 22.5. I still like Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech recognizes that they need some style points. When it comes to the college football playoff seeding implications, they're 4th in the country in the SP Plus ratings. Their offense is 9th. Their defense is 8th. Jacob Rodriguez, even though he's listed as questionable, no doubt in my mind, he'll play in this game. And UCF, who is their quarterback this weekend, I still think they have overachieved this season in terms of what I thought they would be coming in. But Texas Tech flexes their muscles at home.
Yeah, I'm with you. In fact, I wrote Texas Tech minus 22.5 because they need style points. So they found the right foe here to get style points against. I think the strengths of Texas Tech line up very much with the weaknesses of UCF, and especially with the questions at quarterback for UCF. I see Tech absolutely dominating defensively in this game.
BYU minus 4.5 versus TCU. Stormy, your thoughts?
BYU versus TCU. The Cougs, the Horned Frogs. I got to pick BYU on this one. Even given 4.5 points to TCU, yeah, BYU does it. They're looking strong. Texas Tech's biggest opponent in the Big 12 is BYU, in my opinion.
This line's a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. TCU scares me if I'm BYU because of the way they can throw the football. And craziness happens. This is the same week in the season that BYU lost at home to Kansas last year. But BYU's defense, I think, can keep TCU's offense in check. And Bear Bachmeier against that TCU defense, they've really struggled this year against mobile quarterbacks. And Bear Bachmeier is that to a T, so I think BYU wins it by a touchdown, maybe more.
So you're taking BYU minus 4.5, huh?
I am taking BYU minus 4.5.
Yeah.
You thought I'd go the other way and you would fade me.
It's just not enough points. BYU only 4.5 point favorite here. It's just not enough points. So I'm with you. I was hoping you'd go the other way so that we could have 1 or 2 differentials. Maybe we still will, but yeah, it's just not enough points. I mean, they're still one of the 15 best teams in the country. I think TCU, has proven that they're inconsistent, and I think BYU can feast on TCU turnovers because that's something we've seen from Josh Hoover within the last 6 weeks of the season. A high volume of touchdowns and certainly the ability to make big plays, but also a lot of turnovers. So I'll take BYU minus 4.5.
Utah minus 8.5 at Baylor. Stormy?
Baylor gets 8.5 points. Gets 8.5 points versus the Utes. And they're going to need more than that. Yeah, I don't believe in the Bears. The Utes take this one pretty easily.
Easily. I'm with him. I'm with Stormy on that one. I think this is a major statement game for Utah and everything that Baylor is dealing with behind the scenes with the uncertainty of the future, not just as a player, but as a coach, an assistant coach. There's just so much turmoil right now. The AD is out. It is wild times in Waco. And for that fact, that feels like a situation that Utah is going to feast on. And John Henry Daly still leads the Big 12 in tackles for loss. He is second in the Big 12 in sacks, only behind David Bailey, now at Texas Tech. He is going to rattle Sawyer Robertson if he gets a couple of hits on him, and I think Devin Dampier is going to have a field day. Utah wins this thing by 3 scores in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm going to take Baylor plus 8.5. I like the home dogs in this spot. I think, I agree with everything you just said, but for some reason Baylor seems to find some momentum late in seasons, and I think this year will be no different. I don't know that they're going to be holding Utah, to scoreless or to 3 points as they did against UCF. But I think this could be a better defensive effort for Baylor. And the other side of this is Utah has a great pass defense, but they do and have in the fourth quarter especially given up a ton of yardage. So into the ground game. So I think this is a game where Sawyer Robertson can keep this game alive with his legs. Give me Baylor as the home dog here, plus 8.5. I think Utah wins outright, but give me Baylor to cover 8.5 points at home.
All right, guys. Final one, Kansas State minus 20.5 at Oklahoma State. Stormy, your thoughts on your Cowboys?
Do you really want me to pick Kansas State and Oklahoma State? 20.5 points? I'm sorry. Oklahoma State sucks this year. It's a rough year. We lost Gundy. We lost a bunch of players. Morale is down. But 20.5 points? No, we don't need them. We don't need them. Are we going to win? Probably not. All right, I'm picking Kansas State. All right, let's see how we do this week. Go Pokes. See you guys.
Game by 21 on the road was earlier this year against Kansas. But was that truly a true road environment for K-State?
Yes.
You were there.
Yeah, it was for a few minutes.
For a few minutes? I mean, how many K-State fans were at that game?
I mean, it was a lot of KU fans, despite the obvious, Manhattan being close. It was a lot of KU fans. So, but I mean, the thing was, the K-State fans became loud once Kansas was kind of out of it, and I don't know that there's gonna be a ton of Oklahoma State fans here. Just pick Kansas State minus 20.5. Can you please?
I'm taking Oklahoma State in this game.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Are you crazy?
The last time K-State won a game by 3 or more scores outside of the state of Kansas was November 12th, 2022. 3 years ago. They won at Baylor 31-3. I just haven't seen K-State capable of blowing out anybody that is not the Kansas Jayhawks this season. And I think K-State goes on the road. I think they win this game, but I think it's more like 14 or 17. When Oklahoma State has nothing to lose, they're going to throw everything that they have schematically at a K-State team that is just decimated by injuries. And for that reason alone, 20.5 I think is too much.
You want to put some real money on this game?
Sure.
You're really picking Oklahoma State to cover a spread here? Come on.
Yeah, I am.
Have you watched them?
Yes, I've watched them.
Yeah, give me K-State about a 20.5. No explanation needed.
All right.
I don't care where they're playing. They can play in Kansas, Oklahoma, or on the moon, and Oklahoma State doesn't have much of a shot. They have a huge talent discrepancy here. I think they're on a path here to, losing 19 straight Big 12 games after going 2 years with losses in all Big 12 games, followed up the 2023 Big 12 championship game, which we talked about earlier. Name your price, and I'll lay the 20.5 points easily.
Okay.
And root for your Wildcats to get it done.
I think they win the game, but it's a true road game. It starts at 11 a.m. Central Time. I think it's a sleepy spot for K-State.
Remember, Tulsa beat Oklahoma State this year.
I'm very aware.
What's Tulsa's record? You're doing Tulsa game this weekend.
Very aware. I think they're 3-6. One of those wins is against Oklahoma State.
20.5 is nothing.
K-State almost lost to North Dakota.
Yeah, that was a different part of the year.
It was.
And it was at home.
Right, so they should be better on the road. All the Dylan Edwards stuff this week, I don't know. Something tells me this game's going to be a little bit dicey.
You should fire Chris Klavin to the spot if they don't win by 3 touchdowns.
If they don't win by, that's what I'm saying. That's why I had him as my dark horse coach that has the most pressure this weekend.
All right, so you and I have 2 games that we differ from. That's great. I took Baylor plus 8.5 and Kansas State minus 20.5. You took Oklahoma State plus 20.5, and I took in Utah minus 8.5. So you are 2 games ahead of me at 33-23. I'm 31-25.
Wait, these records are not updated. What's our record? What am I?
33-23 and 31-25.
31-25. So I'm still 10 games up, over 500, and you're 6 games up. We're still doing okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What is that? A combined 64 and 48? I mean, that's pretty hot. It's pretty hot, Taman. It's pretty hot. Okay, coming up next here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, we are going to be chatting with Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech head football coach. We caught up with him, so we'll be wearing different clothes if you're with us on video for that interview. And then in the trenches with Lige Douzable here in about 20 minutes or so to get a breakdown of all the Big 12 games before we get to this. Could have been an email segment here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. If you miss any of our guest interviews, you can go back and hear them. We had Pete Nakos, college football insider from On3 Sports. Any of our replays you can catch wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, On Demand. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league, and we are powered by Modelo. 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. You are listening to us exclusively on TuneIn. You are watching us on Big 12 Studios. Ari Timken, James Westling, Taman on the controls. We welcome in the head football coach of Texas Tech, ranked number 6 in the recent college football playoff rankings, Joey McGuire. Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate your time. This time of year, I cannot imagine everything you have going on behind the scenes. And I'd love to know, last night with the college football playoff rankings coming out, what's it like for you guys? Do you guys gather as a team? Is it like Selection Sunday for basketball? I mean, what was the setup?
We were actually walking off the practice field. So, the guys were showering and, Tuesday nights, whenever we win, we have victory dinner. So you're going to get steak. And I think we had steak and lobster last night. And so those guys were doing that. I actually did run up here and flip on the TV and kind of see where we're at and listen to all the guys talk about each team.
Yeah, I mean, so Jacob Rodriguez, you've done a really good job because we know from the Heisman Trophy standpoint, so much of it is about positioning, branding, narrative, and you've done a really good job to help to build that. And Rodriguez flashed the Heisman pose during the game. Have you ever seen, you've been around football a long time, Joey, have you ever seen a defensive player have the season he's having, one? And two, can you just speak to what people maybe don't see in terms of his leadership and then his ability to dominate within Shield Wood's defense?
The thing that I have really jumped on the bandwagon of trying to get into New York is just how he affects the game in the turnover area. Like if you're sitting there and you're talking about if you win the turnover battle, how the percentage of winning the game goes up, and this dude is just creating turnover after turnover. I think we're 3 or 4 away from setting the single season record. No doubt he's checking that for me, to kind of use. And he's just something, man. And people play off of him. He's taking that, really taking that to heart, knocking the football out. And then, man, he is a great human. It's a great story from him being a walk-on after being a scholarship player at Virginia, playing quarterback, now playing linebacker. And then his wife's an absolute rock star. She's in the military. She's a fighter pilot, a Black Hawk pilot. And she's incredible. So it's just such a great story. And it's a guy that's playing at such a high level. I mean, he is really affecting games. Not only just tackling the football, but taking the football away.
Joey, what did you like most about the way your team played in that win over BYU?
I thought we did a good job stopping the run. They had coming into the game number 1 running back in the Big 12 and LJ, big running back. They're big up front in the O-line, and then I don't know how big that quarterback is. I mean, I think they list him like at 225, 230. He's seems like more like 260. And I thought we tackled really well and we stopped the run. And that allowed us, we talk about it all the time, stop the run, you earn the right to rush the passer. And that allowed us to let our edge guys go to work.
One of the things I think that sort of bothers me about the narrative around Texas Tech this year is the money side. And, I mean, top 10 in money, but that's, not number 1, not number 2, not number 3, right? Like, so there's teams in front of you that have spent more money, and yet those teams aren't being talked about from a money standpoint. And then I go back to, like, we said this to you at Big 12 Media Days, like, it's on you now as the coach because the talent is there. So, I'm just curious, how have you been able to build that camaraderie, that chemistry with a group that includes a lot of newcomers and a lot of guys that have played at multiple different programs?
I think it starts, one, with having Baron Morton and Jacob Rodriguez, Raj Ramirez, Corey Aiken, I can go on and on. The guys that have been with me since I got here, I think that's a big part of this because, they understand this is what we do. And I think what they can do is they were able to validate or explain to all these new guys, hey, this is how it is, man. Like, when you come into this building, it's going to be the same way every day. Whenever he tells you every single person that's employed at Texas Tech are here to make you a better person, to take care of your body, to make sure you're, taking care of your academics. Like, everybody in this building, it's all about the player. And so whenever they see that, they've been other places to where people said it was that, and then all of a sudden it wasn't, or somebody had a bad day and this and that. And so I think they appreciate, whenever I told them, if you come here, you're going to play your best football. We're going to make sure you're in a state-of-the-art facility to take care of your body, and you're going to enjoy coming in the building every single day. And that's happened, so they believe and trust that, and I think that has brought them closer and closer together.
Joey, how does this – we're talking with Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire here on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios. How does this team compare from a chemistry, all the things you were talking about there, and the culture and the buy-in and the locker room, just the feel that this team has? Is it different from your other three teams at Texas Tech? Has it just been elevated to another level, or were all those other teams on the same page too?
We had some – I was really proud of how we were able to bring the team together year one. I think there was a lot of buy-in in a hurry. They were an older group, so that really helped because this group's a really older group. But I feel like we've had really healthy locker rooms. We just at times, be honest, we got better players like David Bailey and Romello Height and Lee Hunter and guys like that. The other thing, knock on wood, we've been healthier. Like year two, I felt like we were going to be a really good team, and we go into BYU with a freshman quarterback. It's like that's hard to win at a high level whenever you're having injuries like that, and we've had to deal with some injuries, but we've been pretty healthy overall. And I do think that's the magic. If you come to Texas Tech, the most important thing we have in this program are our players, and I think you'll feel that every single day.
You have, and you mentioned this on game day with Coach Saban, you have so many coaches that you have relationships with based on, your time, obviously, as a contemporary, but also at Cedar Hill. I'm curious, do you have ongoing conversations with some of those coaches? Are you asking for advice, or is that something kind of you save for the offseason when you're in season, you're doing your own thing?
The guys that I talk to in season, Matt Rule, of course, and Jeff Traylor. Those are my two go-tos all the time, all season long and then, all year long. But there's other coaches, that I talk to in the off season. And then really the guy that needs some credit too is Grant McCaslin. That's my go-to. I think it was after the Utah. It was after the Utah game. And I was, I usually get out and try to get a little walk in and get some sun and everything. And I called him and I said, man, we are struggling penalty-wise, and just some of the stuff that you would talk about and what's important and stuff like that. So that's what's so great, man. I've got such an incredible guy like Grant McCaslin. I can just pick up the phone or run over to his office or anything like that.
Man, that's phenomenal. He's the men's basketball coach at Texas Tech, Grant McCaslin. You coach football. What are those conversations like? I'd love to be a fly on the wall for
you guys
those.
are cut from the same cloth. Very similar personalities, very genuine people, both of you guys.
Yeah, the thing that I love about Grant, it's all about the player too. And then, you'll see when we win a game, the basketball social media or somebody will tweet out, tough teams win, and that's what I love about him. It's all about how hard you play and the toughness you have. And so it's easy for me to pick up the phone and talk like that. He came and talked to the team during camp, right before we broke camp, and they just absolutely crushed it. And I've used a couple times, just reminding our players, some of the things he said. And one of his big deals was it's all about the team. Like, how hard you play, it shows how much you care about each other, stuff like that.
I'm going to nitpick for a second here, Joey. This is the last one I got for you. I had to save it for last. The defense is obviously dominant. The offense has been very good, especially running the football, but 24 of 59 in the red zone, scoring touchdowns, 53.7%. It obviously came up. How do you fix that?
Yeah, man, that's been a killer. And it's kind of a little bit, we've had some penalties that we've got to continue to fix. We've gotten a lot better. We're still not where we want to be. I want to eliminate all pre-snap penalties, but We've gotten better. We've really moved. Whenever you look at the numbers, I look at the stats all the time and everything. That's whenever it comes to everything about football. And then we've got to catch the football. We had 2 back-to-back plays where we threw the ball in the end zone, and that's ball. It's just not the receivers. That's ball placement by the quarterback. And that's receivers. I mean, we had 2 drops back-to-back that you put that ball in, and now, instead of 13-0 at halftime, we go up 20-21-0. And so we got to make sure we do that. I mean, schematically, I think we have some good stuff. We just got to execute it at a higher level because we have to. Like, you're not going to get away. We got lucky with BYU that we got away with that. You're not getting away with that, and especially when you start coming to 1-score games, you can't go and kick field goals and expect to win. I tell our defense that all the time. Make a kick field goals. They're not going to beat us.
Well
Texas Tech up to number 6 in the college football playoff rankings. Coach, if charisma could rush the passer, Joey McGuire would lead the nation in sacks.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Coach. Take care.
I appreciate y'all having me.
All right,
Wreck
see you,
'em.
Coach. Texas Tech Coach Joey McGuire here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. You're watching us on Big 12 Studios. More to come on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We'll take a look at some Big 12 basketball, what happened last night between Texas Tech and Illinois, and the curious case of Kansas guard Darren Peterson before we talk Utah Utes, and then the final whistle still to come here next hour on Big 12 Radio. You're dialed in exclusively on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios, powered by Modelo. Back here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Special thanks to Texas Tech hooking us up with head coach Joey McGuire, who joined the program right here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We come to you live each Monday through Friday, 8 to 11 Eastern Time, 7 to 10 Central. We're now streaming on your screen at Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast Channel. You can catch us on your Roku device, Amazon Prime, DirecTV, YouTube. And then if you want to go back and share that Joey McGuire interview with any of your friends or family, Big 12 Radio podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn On Demand. Our games of the week. Tomorrow we've got Oklahoma State and Kansas State at noon, 11 a.m. Central, and then Utah at Baylor at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central. And we are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by the Markov Fighter, our friends at Modelo. Over under 17 Modelos for you this weekend.
Over. Take the over.
Didn't even hesitate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 17?
Hammer the over.
Yeah, so I'll be camping. Actually, no. 0. Sorry. Yeah, we'll be at a YMCA camp. There's no Modelos.
YMCA?
Yeah.
They've got their own YMCA honor code. No Modelos.
You're right. So I said over, I meant under. I meant the big under. Big under. In fact, I'll be negative 17.
Okay.
I'll be taking away Modelos from people. Just
Are you leaving right after the show?
So can I tell you what happened last time we this group that I went with?
I don't think so, no.
No, I'm not leaving right after the show, but going to leave at probably about 12:30 up to Davis, Oklahoma. So where my kids go to school, the elementary school, there's always a group of dads that gets together to do campouts with the kids. It's great. I love it. I love camping. And I've talked a lot about that on this show when we've had the various campouts. So there's basically 2 per year for each of my kids. And so there's one in October, November, and then another in the spring. And so last spring, we were out at the camp out at a YMCA camp at with the first grade group. They were in kindergarten last year, obviously. And so I've got all kinds of gear that I like to have and use. And so I've got this hatchet that I use sometimes.
A hatchet?
A hatchet, it's good. Just outdoorsy stuff. I mean, stuff you wouldn't know about. And so basically, there was a lot of rain the last time we went out camping. And so some of the firewood we had was kind of wet. And so some of my friends and I, we went out and found some tree limbs that were down. Okay, this was not a tree that was already up, that we knocked down. This was an already downed tree, okay? And so we took, just to have some fun with the boys, we took the boys out and we were hatcheting these tree limbs that were already on the ground, that were already displaced from the tree.
How big is this hatchet?
We needed a chainsaw to do the job we were trying to do with the tiny hatchet. It was kind of funny. So anyways, we're doing our thing, minding our own business, and suddenly these guys from our rival elementary school, dads, come up to us and are start inquiring about what we're doing.
You had me at rival elementary school.
Okay? Well, they weren't rivals until they did this. So they start what are you guys doing? And we're very disgustingly, what are you guys doing? It's we're getting some more firewood. And they go, does the YMCA know that you're doing this?
Yeah, you're behind enemy lines.
And it's it's an already down tree. At this point, we're doing a service to the Y.
The tree is fair game.
This is a conservation effort play by us. So long story short, they told on us. What? They literally, these grown men dads were so upset that we were, and again, the tree was down. Okay, these were on the ground, displaced from the tree already. We did not hatch it, which would not have been possible based on the size of the tree that was on the ground and the hatchet size we had. But they basically implied that we had cut a tree down and were using it for firewood. And
I don't think they believed you that the tree was already down. They thought you were disrupting the environment.
They clearly didn't.
It's the most dad thing ever.
Insanity. And again, didn't realize they were the rival elementary school until they did that. So this will be the next time we're going to be camping with that same group. So yeah, we'll see how we get them back for tattling on us for a conservation effort that we were doing, basically helping the YMCA.
So they're going to be there too.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting juicy.
Yeah.
Rival dad groups, father-son campout, Davis, Oklahoma, YMCA.
And by the way, do you remember how we talked about the first grade boys baseball team winning the championship?
But do I ever?
Over the Cubs?
How could I forget that?
You know who the Cubs are? Same team.
Same team.
So these are rival elementary schools, Bowie and Brentfield. The Bowie Cubs just lost to the Brentfield Mets in the World Series. They're upset. Their dads are already complaining about us for allegedly cutting down trees with this tiny hatchet we have that would have required a chainsaw in order to cut down.
I smell backyard brawl too.
So how do we get back at them? Because we're grown men with children. We're not fighting them at a YMCA camp.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Would it?
It would not. I think you go fisticuffs behind that YMCA. Maybe you guys play a tackle flag football game with no flags, just tackle football.
Tackle flag.
I think you guys should play a tackle football game. Grown men playing a tackle football game.
Okay.
That would settle all scores.
That's not a bad idea.
It's not.
It's not a bad
I mean,
idea.
you come home like battered and bloody, tell your wife you got attacked by a bear.
I'm trying to think of more of I don't want to tattle on them because I'm not going to stoop to that ridiculous level at 40 years old. I'm over telling on people.
What are you going to do? You're going to tattle on their tattle? Hey, they tattled on us last year and it was fake. There's a conspiracy brewing. That tree was down. Have you seen my hatchet? No, it's not just for the Instagram pics.
I was thinking about maybe a setup. Can we do some sort of a setup for them?
Man, this is
where it makes it look like they chopped down a tree.
This has got major Home Alone vibes. Okay? Yeah, I think you can get them back.
Maybe set up some traps, like they set up their tent.
Yes, bear traps, but for humans.
And we tunnel underneath the ground.
40-year-old men.
We tunnel underneath the ground and then tunnel a hole in where their tents are, so that way they just fall through.
This feels like the Sandlot for grown men. But are they the fancy uniforms or you guys?
We are. We won the James. I don't know if you heard. We won the
championship.
Well, I mean, line one is I'm having my son bring his ring, and he's going to wear it to every meal and kind of flash it every now and then.
Yes, perfect. So you guys are all eating together. So there's a lot of cross-pollination at this camp house.
And I went into it with a very, very open mind. I want to be friends with these guys. Great to meet you. Nice to meet you. You know me.
Friends with a rival elementary school.
But that's what I'm saying. I didn't realize they were rival elementary until they tattled on us for some egregious thing that we weren't even doing.
Oh, this runs deep. You've got to keep us posted all weekend.
Well, I just need your ideas to keep free flowing.
All right.
Check in with ChatGPT. Let me know what ChatGPT thinks.
I like the James Westling human bear trap idea. I think that one hits.
Well, I mean, James, I'm trying to do something kind of without killing anybody.
I mean, maybe you guys have a massive tug
bear
of
traps
war.
are
How about a tug of war showdown? All right. I think the tackle football game, who tears less ACLs, that takes the cake.
Do you want me to be back on Monday to do the show or not? Because there's a risk there involved with some of these things you're talking about.
I mean, are they bigger than you guys? I think you can take them.
I think I could too, but...
Right. Liger's on with us. Liger Douzable. We go in the trenches with Liger every week here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Heard exclusively on TuneIn. Watching us on Big 12 Studios. Liger, my man, what's up?
How you guys doing? Ari, James?
What's going on?
How you guys been, man?
How are you?
It's been too long.
I can't complain.
It's been too long, Liger. It's been too long. There's been so much that has happened since we had you on with us a couple of weeks ago. Let's go in the trenches, okay? Let's go in the trenches. We got Cincinnati. We got Utah on the semifinalist for the offensive line of the year. You've got Texas Tech and what they're doing defensively in the trenches with that defense. We've got Jacob Rodriguez, Heisman talk. So with all that said, what do you think is the biggest headline in the trenches in the Big 12?
I would have to say, going back to last week's game, the big matchup, right? BYU and Texas Tech, because we talked about how that game literally was going to be won in the trenches. And I thought if LJ Martin could get things going on the run game with that offensive line for the Cougars, they would have a legit shot in Lubbock. But this is why we love talking about the trenches, right? Because everybody talks about how explosive that Texas Tech offense is. That defensive line in the trenches, more specifically, with David Bailey, Lee Hunter, Romello Height, they mitigated what BYU wanted to do on the ground game. And I bring up that because to this point in the season, that was the biggest game in the Big 12, right? Last week, BYU versus Texas Tech. So to me, like that was the biggest storyline. Like Texas Tech, behind their defensive line, since we're talking in the trenches, propelled themselves on the national stage to be a team where people are considering them maybe a top 400 team. And they could, if they continue to handle business, be a team that eventually gets a bye in the CFP. So to me, that has been the biggest storyline so far, because a lot of people thought that was going to be a real tight game, and it wasn't from the start. Like, it was a defensive battle in the first quarter, but then you saw that Baron Morton and that offense started to finally get their rhythm. Cameron Dickey ran the ball well. He was able to find some receivers down the field. But to me, that game was won, and the attitude was set early from the defensive front from Texas Tech.
Yeah, one of the games from an in-the-trenches standpoint this weekend that stands out to me, Lige, is the Baylor-Utah game. We know Utah is so good up front on the offensive and defensive sides. Baylor has really struggled up front on the defensive side. Give me your read kind of on this game from the trenches.
Well, Ari, if we get the Baylor defense that played versus UCF, it's going to be an interesting game. Because we've talked about this before, and it's kind of been underrated or under the radar or underrated. UCF has had one of the better rushing attacks in all the Big 12. They were mitigated last week. And, James, we've called a Baylor game, and we've known the news has kind of been around Dave Aranda. Like, going into that game, I felt like UCF had to know they were going to either get a wounded animal that was going to fight tooth and nail, or they were going to get a wounded animal that was just going to lay over it. Well, Dave Aranda and the staff did a masterful job getting that team ready, right? Because there was so much thrown at their head, right? People were talking about maybe making some coaching changes. And the way that defensive front and that front seven was able to mitigate UCF's run game was very impressive. Because we go back to 2 weeks ago in the Cincinnati game, I thought Cincinnati would be fine versus Utah because of that defensive front. And Devin Dampier and the misdirections of how they use the speed sweep with their running backs, they literally took it to Cincinnati. So that is something that Dave Aranda and the staff is going to have to understand. Leverage, right? Contain when it comes to the quarterback run, and then also some of those speed sweeps, because they build everything off of that, right? The play action pass where they find the receivers down the field. Like, that's when Devin Dampier is most comfortable, right? When you're able to run the ball, go heavy play action pass, take some shots down the field. So you talked about it in the trenches. And then on the opposite side, right, Sire Robinson got back to form, right? Wasn't turning the football over. But a lot of that had to do with protection. You talked about it, Ari. This Utah Utes defensive line will get after you. So Sawyer Robinson and that offensive line are going to have to do a really good job knowing where their protections is. And that's including the running back when you talk about the trenches, because protection is not just the offensive line. It's the quarterback knowing where to slide the offensive line. It's also the running back stepping up in there, knowing who to block as well. And then it's also Sawyer Robinson understanding, I got to get this ball out of my hand. I may not be able to get to my third progression with this, the way this defensive line for the Utah Utes comes after you in waves.
Talking with Lige Douzable, former NFL defensive lineman, played from 2008 to 2017, including stops with the Jets and the Bills and the 49ers, played college football at UCF, where he was third-team All-League. Back in 2006, he had over 10 TFLs, 7 sacks, played in 112 NFL football games. Lige Douzable. Did you learn anything about BYU that's concerning from the BYU-Texas Tech game, or was it just that Texas Tech is so dominant?
Texas Tech is a house. James, we've been saying it all year long. Like, I don't think enough people have given them respect. And I think when you go back to that loss versus Arizona State, they kind of lost some of their cachet, right? Their aura, as the young kids would say, once they lost that game to Arizona State. But I think they built that back up. They built up that rapport back up with a dominating win versus BYU. I've been saying it, and a couple other analysts have said it. I feel like they're a top 4 team in the nation. When everybody is on point, when Baron Morton is himself. Now, again, that's the question mark with him because he has been so banged up throughout his career. Like, is he going to be able to withstand the rigors of the next couple of weeks and even a CFP playoff run? Like, that's the biggest question for them because obviously they don't have Will Hammond anymore. So you can't rely on your backup quarterback anymore. So, like, we know the defense is going to show up, right, play in and play out. And, again, I still don't think they get enough respect, even though I just did my top 5 Heisman. I want to give a shout out to Jacob Rodriguez. I put him number 5 on my list because, as Coach McGuire said, it's the best player in the nation, not by position, group, but by player. And what Jacob Rodriguez has done has been out of this world, leads the nation in forced fumbles. He's a guy that just gravitates and finds the football. And then the high football IQ he has allows him to be in positions to make plays. So to me, again, this defense is what really propels them. But it's gonna come down to Baron Morton, right? Can he stay healthy and provide that explosive ability that they have on the outside?
Better O-line, Utah or Cincinnati?
Ooh, that's a good one, man. Because Brendan Sorsby never gets touched.
Right.
Right.
Two sacks all year.
That's what I'm saying. He never gets touched. And Cincinnati can run the pill really well, just like the Utah Utes. It's hard to go against Utah just because of their booking tackles. Right now, we always have this saying in the NFL. Sometimes it's not about having the best player on your offensive line. It's the sum of the group. Right. And when I say this, like offensive line is like a line, like it's like a string, like a rope. Everybody has to be on the same accord. And when somebody gets hurt, you cut that rope, you have to tighten. Now you have knots in your line. So with Cincinnati and the consistency of that same offensive line playing week in and week out, it's hard to go against them too. But I'm going to give the slight edge to Utah just because of the caliber that they have at the offensive tackle. But it's close because, like we said, Brandon Sorsby doesn't get touched, and they're one of the most efficient running teams in all of the Big 12.
Lige, I want to circle back to your Heisman list. You've got Jacob Rodriguez, number 5. Is he the only – I'm assuming he's the only defensive player. Who do you have 1 through 4?
So, put me on the spot here. I got to go back to – actually, I don't have to go back because I have a great memory, James.
I know you do.
Number 4, I have Marcel Reed. I don't think Texas A&M has got enough respect for what he's done. I mean, wins at Notre Dame. They're in the SEC, which is obviously the toughest. Well, people may say the Big Ten is maybe a little bit tougher this year. It depends who you ask, right? It's debatable. But for them to have the schedule that they have had and be as dominant as they've been, right, going into LSU and at night, which is a tough place to play. I know LSU hasn't been the LSU we're accustomed to, but for them to do what they've been able to do, I have to put him in there. I don't think he's got enough respect. I don't think the Aggies have gotten enough respect. I believe I know where I put it 2 and 1 is Fernando and Ty. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart. Who did I put at 3, James?
Did you have Julian Sayin at number 3?
That's who it was. My guy. That's why you're my guy. Julian Sayin. And I know a lot of people will say when you look at him being the quarterback of Ohio State, he's set up for success. You still got to make the plays. And the way he's grown since week 1, and that's what I said in my post, I don't believe there's a player that has developed more from week 1 than Julian Sayin. His completion percentage is 80%. That's astronomical in college.
Yeah, he leads the nation in efficiency.
And it's not just checkdowns. He's throwing the ball down the field. Yeah, I get it. You have Jeremiah Smith, you have Cardell Tate, you have 2 of the better receivers in football. But again, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that being the quarterback for guys like that on the outside. So I have him at number 3. Fernando Mendoza kind of had his Heisman moment last week versus Penn State late. Now, he had some troublesome throws in the third quarter, but I love when it was on the line, he was the best in that game on that last drive and probably had the throw and catch of the year to Omar Cooper for that go-ahead touchdown. And then Ty Simpson has been the most clutch player in college football, and I don't even think it's close. Like, his tape is riddled with NFL throws, and then I don't believe there's a coach that trusts their quarterback more and got to have the situations. And Kalen DeBoer trusts Ty Simpson. I mean, he constantly goes forward on 4th down because he has 100% faith in Ty Simpson. And Ty Simpson isn't just throwing checkdowns on 4th down. He's throwing the ball down the field. Like, he has that type of confidence. And I think his mobility is underrated. People don't talk about it enough. But he's used his mobility not only to buy time to throw the ball down the field, but to pick up pivotal first downs late in games as well. So to me, Ty Simpson right now is the front runner to win the Heisman.
All right, Lige, last one. Of these 4 Big 12 games, Arizona, Cincinnati, UCF, Texas Tech, Utah, Baylor, and TCU, BYU. Which of those matchups do you think is most likely to see a massive upset, and why? Or
I would say, well, I'm looking forward to the Arizona one. I want to see how Cincinnati bounces back after a bye. But upset would probably be Baylor, Utah, and it goes back to what me and Ari were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
If we see the Baylor defense that we saw versus UCF, and UCF, again, is one of the better rushing attacks in all of college football, then that game could be interesting because when you have a quarterback like Sawyer Robinson who can push the ball anywhere on the field, like this could get into a shootout. Now I know Utah has a really good defense, but Baylor has a really good offense as well. So like if Baylor's defense plays like they did last week versus UCF, that is the ultimate trump card. I believe that game could potentially be an upset. And maybe, that win versus UCF gives them momentum. Like the funny thing is Baylor has been playing a lot better on the road than they had been playing at home. And they finally get it done at home versus UCF. Let's see if they can make it 2 in a row finally at home and continue to propel that momentum. Now, I know people in the Big 12 probably don't want to hear that because you want to get two teams in the CFP, and Utah right now is in a prime position to potentially be an at-large bid when it comes to the CFP. But if you asking me, James, what team could be on upset alert, I think it's the Utah Utes.
Okay, there it is. In the trenches with Lige Douzable joining us here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Great to catch up, Lige. I'll see you tonight here in about 4 hours.
My guy, appreciate you guys.
All right, Lige Douzable, 10 years in the NFL, one of the best all time at UCF on the defensive line. We go in the trenches with Lige, analyst for CBS and ESPN each and every week here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Coming up next, Ari and myself, Taman will chime in here for this could have been an email segment as we put a wrap on the week that was here on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios. We are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo.
Still questions
time to wrap up the work week on a fanatic fireworks Friday, like we saw in Manhattan, Kansas last night, where K-State balled out once again, scoring 99 points in their win over Cal. Hence the jersey today. All right, Timken, James Westling with you here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Brought to you by Modelo, streaming on your screen at Big 12 Studios. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Special thanks to all of our guests, including Lige Douzable, who joined us just moments ago for our In the Trenches segment here exclusively on TuneIn. Ari's got a big camp out this weekend. How can he get back at the rival elementary school dads?
It's a rivalry I didn't start, but I'm definitely going to finish it.
Yes, you are. This is controversial. This could have been an email segment, but I've got some tremendous ideas for what you can do. They tattled on you guys last year for a fallen tree that you took a hatchet to. They took exception to your hatcheting.
They went out of their way
to
come accost us for doing something that it's a fallen limb. It's fair game. It's on the ground. If anything, we were doing the YMCA a service and the parks a service. And not only was confronting us not enough, no. They needed to see some real substance. They told on us.
Went out of their way.
They went to the YMCA staff and said, these dads were doing that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Why aren't you stopping them?
Now remember, this is a father-son camp out. How old are the sons?
First grade. Not fourth or fifth graders, not middle schoolers, first graders.
And they're going out of their way. And that limb is not on a 10-day contract. It's a free agent. It's a free market. You take that hatchet to it.
It's a conservation effort, okay?
All right, so there's going to be...
I'm a big conservationist. I don't know if you know that about me.
Yes, loves the environment. There's going to be a lot of co-mingling at this camp out this weekend, correct?
No co-mingling.
But, I mean, you guys are going to be crossing paths, right?
Potentially.
Okay, so if there were some campfire or lunchroom cafeteria conversations, you have to dominate those. I'd be casually dropping test scores like you're breaking news, okay? I've got one line. Burn this into your brain because this is really going to stir them up. Bring up your PTO NIL collective. Their heads will be on a swivel. You know what we're doing next year? We'll check in with our PTO NIL collective.
What does it mean?
See where it goes. That's the thing. What does it mean? Or what doesn't it mean?
Paid time off NIL?
Now, how's your prep going? You got to prepare for this weekend like you're coaching the Super Bowl. What do the coolers look like? Do they have compartments they've never seen before? I'd be bringing the industrial strength flashlight and
I've got a mag light.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
A what light?
A mag light.
A mag light.
Come on. IYK, okay? You know?
Okay.
That's a heavy duty. It's as big as it gets.
Okay. I mean, it needs to look like an REI up in there. All right. Mag light. We've got mag light. We've got hatchet. You're off to a great start.
Please, they'll be camping in their cabins. We'll be in real tents.
Real men camp in tents.
Thank you. Doing the manly things. I mean,
call me what you want. I'd rather be in the cabin. Boring.
That's glamping, Taman.
I am the
That's
younger.
glamping.
I'm the younger millennial side. You guys go out and do all that. I'm going inside. With
Real men camp like men.
That's right.
Shirtless, chest hair out.
Sleeping on the ground.
Not
with cots and
gravel be damned.
Really nice air mattresses.
Yeah, y'all have fun with that. I'll be inside with electricity and my phone and the internet.
The warm glow of the phone.
All right, I said you guys should just have a tackle football game. I think that would
first you
settle
said
all
a
scores,
tackle flag football game.
which is a little bit confusing, so I've got a better idea. Three-legged race. Just make sure you stretch like you're about to enter the combine. We don't want you pulling any hammies, and you got this thing. Or just a massive
We're not having a decathlon against this group.
I think you should. I think that's how you really flex your muscles. Let's play a little capture the flag, eye black, camouflage joggers. Your lawn mowing shoes would really come into handy.
A pretty big game of capture the flag could be just what the doctor ordered.
I think we're on to something here.
I might just go with the sabotage. Just go sabotage their entire camp out.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that?
Told you, digging holes.
Yeah, there we go.
Taking water to their firewood.
Big rocks.
Good luck starting a fire with this wet firewood. Just dousing their firewood in water. That or kerosene. Either one.
Those rival dads are going to crumble emotionally. You've already won. They're preparing for the battle. You're preparing for war.
Yeah, that's right.
Game over.
All
right.
We're playing chess. They're playing checkers.
Yes, indeed.
But seriously, who tattles?
I know.
This
you're,
age.
you're fired up about this.
Just be passive aggressive like the rest of us. Come on.
Okay, that's the way to go. The more passive aggressive, the better.
Yeah.
Which is where the the backhanded compliments come into play.
I mean, again, we won the championship at baseball over them, so we just bring the ring. We just got to flash the rings and be like, what?
Flash those rings, ask them when the next cupcake fundraiser is going to be, and you've already won the war. You'll have them so flustered.
So flustered.
PTO, NIL, collect.
I still don't get that.
I don't know what that means. Their heads will be on a swivel. Neither will they, which is
But is
key.
it PTA, NIL? Like the
PTO, right? It's always been called PTO. What's PTA?
called the PTA.
Down here?
I think everywhere,
PTO,
no?
bro. It's PTO. Parent-Teacher Organization.
I thought it was the PTA.
Yeah, it's the PTA, dude. It's the Parent
Shut
Teacher
up.
Association. I don't know what you're talking about.
PTO is paid time.
Paid time
Oh,
off.
paid time off. I got a little mixed. I've been calling it PTO. I'm pretty sure I'm getting emails about PTO, right? And it's not from TuneIn or the Big 12,
You've never been
which tells you
Involved
my
with
level
a-
of involvement on the school activity meter. All right, what's your "this could have been an email" story this week?
I don't have anything, do you? I'm just kidding. I do have a few. Do
I love Fridays, man. They're the best.
you like this song?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Taman, you have a this could have been an email headline?
Well, I saw that Aaron Judge won the MVP.
Okay, so actually this is where I was going to go to. Can I real quick, Taman, let me jump in front of you here. So Aaron Judge won the AL MVP, and then somebody else also won an MVP?
What?
So Shohei won the NL MVP. And so what could have been an email is...
You can't have two MVPs.
Thank you! Major League Baseball, what are we doing here? There is only one most valuable player. There aren't two. You don't get to just... Well, they're in the American League, they're in the National League. No. And by the way, Ohtani is the most valuable player in all of baseball. But like no other league has multiple MVPs. It's ridiculous that Major League Baseball continues to do this. By the way, when did the World Series end?
November 1st.
What are we doing, baseball? When I saw that they announced the Cy Young Award winners, my thought was, baseball? What? It's been months since baseball's been over.
I feel the same way.
Like, what?
13 days ago.
Yeah, why not take longer? Why not wait? I mean, at this point, you're competing with the football season. Why not wait until February when football season's over? Just announce it then. What are we doing waiting this long? Like, I forgot all of these guys still played baseball.
Right. It's over. It's been over.
I understood the AL, NL MVP back in the day.
AOL or AL?
AL and NL MVP back in the day because they didn't have so much interleague play. It was only like in the month of July. But like now it's throughout the entire season. There needs to be one MVP.
I'm with you. All right, how are you doing on your YouTube TV ESPN dispute? Where are we at on that?
What do you think?
I don't have YouTube TV in my house, so this could have been an email for me, but I know for you, this cuts to your core.
What do you think? I'm negotiating between
Oh,
Disney
just what
and-
are the updates? It could have been an email. I scroll. I don't read the headlines. They're still fighting, apparently.
Yeah, the updates are there are no updates, James.
Okay, well.
The latest update, since you led me here and you're just trying to wind me up and make me angry on this Friday.
That's what I do on Fridays. We've got a campfire cook-off, and
Okay.
Ari is off the rails.
So apparently, I mean, I already had to. already had to jump aboard Sling TV and buy a month to Sling TV, so now I have 2 different subscriptions, and I can't drop the YouTube TV subscription because I have the NFL Sunday Ticket. So if I drop that, I lose my Bears games. Luckily, that season's going to go on until January.
Yeah, first world problems right there.
So yeah, thanks. But apparently there are no updates. The updates are that Disney's willing to wait as long as they need.
And they're trying to take on a company with a $3 trillion market cap in Google.
Yeah, so Alphabet, the parent company of Google, has a $3 trillion market cap.
That's a lot.
Disney has a $193 billion market cap. Market cap, of course, being the total valuation of all of the assets that are owned by these companies.
Stock.
193 billion is a lot of money, but there are a lot of 193 billions in 3 billion, are there not? Or 3 trillion, excuse me.
It's a lot of zeros.
Like, how many times could Google buy and sell everything that Disney owns? I'm talking about all of the Disney parks. I'm talking about all of Marvel, the what do they call MTO or MUV or whatever at Marvel Universe. All of ESPN, all their, like, how many times based on that market cap could they buy and sell all of those assets?
Let me ask you this: what's your stopping point? Like, if this keeps going on?
After the NFL season.
After the NFL season. So we've
there's
got
no Sunday Ticket.
2 months left, 2.5, 3 months-ish, roughly.
Yes.
Well, on this same theme, NBC Sports Network is launching on Monday. On YouTube TV only. NBCU is bringing back NBC Sports Network, which is going to basically be all the streaming sports that they would have on Peacock. It's now going to be on one platform. NBA Monday nights, golf majors, Olympic sports, Premier League sports, but also Big 12 men's and women's basketball inventory will be on YouTube TV via NBC Sports Network.
Well, our horrible nightmare is finally over.
The timing is, I don't think that is a coincidence.
Yeah.
ESPN YouTube TV blackout. The other half of the story, NBC says, sure, put our stuff on there.
I mean, you've got 2 huge conglomerates that are fighting, squabbling. What's the word?
They'd be squabbling. There'd
squabbling,
be a squabble
thank
in
you.
there.
Over, money. And basically, at the end of the day, the only people that lose are the consumers. So, way to go.
All right, so I've got some more harmless camp sabotage.
Ooh, okay.
Here's the playbook. Now, I think alarms are going to be tough because everybody's just doing alarms on their phones, right? But I would say a little chair geometry sabotage. Quietly tilt their camping chairs back just a tiny bit. Not enough to fall, but enough to make them question their core strength. If there were some campsite conversations, strategic flashlight blinding. Some dad's telling a legendary story. Whoops! Accidentally shine your mag flashlight headlamp directly into their faces. Every time meltdown ensues.
That's a good one.
Okay. My personal favorite is the ghost whistle. Hide behind a tree and just every once in a while let out a subtle whistle every few minutes. Just make it suspicious enough to spark a full-on rival dad's investigation. I'm telling you, these are some bangers. Some bangers.
That's amazing. I actually may do that one.
Yeah, do it.
Like,
Get
that
a
takes a commitment.
It does.
That is.
Every few minutes, just a light whistle. Not a full-on, personal foul whistle. Not like flagrant one whistle. Just a light whistle. Did you guys hear that?
Was that? Like, it's subtle enough to be like, is that somebody or something, or is it just random? Yeah.
Yes, they'll spend at least an hour hunting for raccoons, and you've won. You have won it.
I'm the big winner. You know that I'm the big
Already.
winner. I might spend my entire night not
Already.
socializing, not being with my son, which of course is the whole point of this, right? No, I'm going to forego all of that to be the big winner.
You've got this, man. I trust in you. I've got, after my college football game tomorrow, I come back to an empty house. I have the entire house to myself for at least one half of the entire weekend. Half of the weekend, the entire house to myself.
What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to turn on all the lights. I can tell you that. My wife doesn't like bright lights. I'm going to have all the lights on. Lights on everywhere. Recklessness when it comes to the lights. It's going to look like a stadium tour up in there. Cannot wait. All right, that's Ari Timken. He's on social at Ari Sports, ARI Sports. I'm James Westling on social at James Westling. Taman Turner, our wonderful producer, crushed it this week with guests. We are back on Monday, 8A to 11A Eastern Time, right here on the channel. You've been listening to us all week long exclusively on TuneIn and watching us on Big 12 Studios. Big 12 Radio is brought to you, the full-time fan, by our friends at Modelo. Have a fantastic weekend. Cannot wait for the campsite sabotage update on Monday. We're out.